Good evening, everyone. How is everyone? Doing okay? That was pretty mellow. So my name is Roger Brooks. I am here with my wife, Jane. She is right back there. And we have been secret shopping you for the past week. And I'm going to go into detail what that means. And by the way, we had never been to Peace River before. So let me go through this. And this is what we've been doing since we got here a week ago, is we have secret shopped a lot of places all over the world. As a matter of fact, over all these years, we've done more than 2,750 communities in 45 U.S. states, all across Canada, Western Europe, Scandinavia, down in the island of Mauritius in Africa, you name it. But in Alberta, we have worked and secret shopped all these cities. And by the way, you're seeing this list coming up and you're going, well, that's in the southern hemisphere. But actually, it's coming, we're getting more and more north. But over the years, we've worked in more than 60 communities in Alberta alone. And it's become really, I've always called Alberta my second home. For a couple of reasons. Is every year when I was, from the time I was about 7 years old till the time I was going to go to college, my parents' vacation spot was Banff and Jasper National Parks. So we always came here. That's where we went. And we would go into Calgary, we'd go in some other areas. And then over the years, we've been able to work in all these other places. And so for me, it was like coming back home. And so when we do this, it's called an assessment. And by the way, we did not meet Corrine until today, and she organized this. So there was no feedback. There was a, Roger, make sure you say this. There was none of that. She didn't say where to stay, what to see, what to do, where to go, nothing. So we came here just like any first-time visitor, anybody. And so we looked at, was it easy to find information about Peace River? Was it good enough to close the sale? How do you stack up against all the other cities and towns, whether it's in the Rockies or whether they're out in the prairie? And then we spent the last week doing the on-site portion, which is coming into Peace River. What did we see? What was our first impression? And I will tell you that it kind of shocked us because before we got here, we were expecting another prairie town, you know, Claire's Home or something. And boy, were we surprised. But our whole assignment, this whole effort that we're doing, is all about what else could be done in Peace River to make it a better place to live, have a business, or to visit. So there's no looking back. There's no saying you should have in this. This is just our first impressions, along with some suggestions, things you could do to make it better. And I call them suggestions because I wouldn't come here and we never talk to you first. It'd be foolish for us to come and say, you should do this when we never talk to you first. So we got lots of suggestions in here. You're well on your way. I got to tell you, when we came down the hill coming up north through Nampa, as we came up north and started coming down the hill, I went, wow. And what's interesting is just talking to Corrine is the very words she said when she very first got here, where I could live here. That was exactly what we said when we came down that hill. I mean, we were just blown away. We didn't know what to expect. Now, when we do this assessment, we wear three hats. One of a potential new resident. Is this a place we'd want to live, retire, raise a family, and establish a new business or move a business, and as a leisure visitor. And so talking about leisure visitor, I want to talk about tourism first. Number one, it is the front door to your non-tourism economic development efforts. Site selectors, investors, all these people are coming first as visitors. So I don't say tourists because, you know, and by the way, we're staying at the Best Western over on the Upper West Side. We're staying at the Best Western, and I couldn't believe on the weekends the hotel was empty, but during the week, almost every vehicle out there is oil, gas, agriculture, you name it, government, you name it. And so all these people are here, especially a lot of contractors, and they're all visitors. So let's not just think about leisure tourists. Let's talk about people that don't live here, but they're here working or whatever. What is there for them to do? And so number two is that visitors come, they spend money and head home. We call that the purest form of economic development. You don't need all the social services. You don't need all the housing. You don't need everything for them. They come, they spend money and leave. We like that. And by the way, heaven forbid anybody here ever goes to Grand Prairie. That never happens, does it? Yeah, I didn't think so. That's called leakage. And if you earn your money here and you spend it somewhere else, that's called leakage. Well, you know what? Tourism can help fill that pot. So when you head down there to the nearest Costco, Sam's Club, wouldn't it be great if tourists came here and spent money here to help fill that gap? And then number three, the number one activity of visitors in the world, not the reason they come, but the number one activity when they arrive is shopping, dining, and entertainment in a pedestrian-friendly setting. That's your downtown. That's number one. And by the way, that's where 80% of their non-lodging spending takes place. So one of the challenges you have in Peace River, you're not getting much of that 80%. We're going to talk about that. And why, and what you could do to make it better. And so when it comes to that, retail shops, AUs, bars, locals help you break even. Tourism can be your profit. So we always say any business you have, we want it to break even, but tourism can help fill that gap of profit. And of course, when it comes to tourism, the first thing you gotta do is get people to stop. I know that way, way, way back a long time ago, I was off in college. My dad called me and said, Roger, we're moving to Hay River. He got a job with Crown to set up a furniture manufacturing job in Hay River. I went, where the heck is that? And he said, it's in the Northwest Territories. I went, where the heck is that? But on their way, he said, yeah, we stopped in Peace River. And so you got to get people to stop. Then if you can get people to spend 2 hours, even if they're passing through, they're on the way to High Level, wherever they're going, spending doubles. But overnight visitors spend 3 times more than day visitors. So the goal is to get people to spend the night. So before we even left, we decided, okay, we're going to go to Peace River. Never been there before. And so we did what everybody does now. 97% of all travel research is on the web. Only 3% is where they call or they ask a friend or family where they can get information. So we went to Travel Alberta's website, went to places to go. We looked at all the different places here, and you're going to see this was kind of our process, and I shortened this up for this. But we went down here, we're looking at all these places, and I'm going, where, and I'm not too sure, so we keep looking, Southern Rockies, Lakelands, and I thought, well, maybe, so even so I said, not really the Northern Rockies. So part of the challenge, and we saw, and I was surprised that Peace River was tied to the Northern Rockies. But at least we found you there because it had Peace River there. And so we saw mountain ranges, remarkable wilderness, and we saw these things. So we spent some time on that website and tried to figure out, what is there to see, what is there to do, and so we went through there and we kind of made a list of favorite things we could do. And so, and a lot of it, the problem is, it covers the entire province, and the province is enormous, as you know. And so we see Grand Prairie, there's Peace River, Fill Your Travels, Outstanding Landscapes. We see the Northern Lights. And so we did see that vibrant community is a place to create lasting memories. So we did see some key towns, but then we decided, well, you know what, let's dig deeper. So then we found a website called Mighty Peace Tourism. And so we went to this website and we said, okay, let's check out, let's see if we can find it. We saw all the things to do. And so you're going to see how we kind of went through this website. But for us, we're looking for Peace River specifically. So we went down through all the different cities and towns that are in the area until we finally got to Peace River. And there it is. Almost went past it. And then we clicked on it, and it talks about it's spectacular. And so we're trying to figure out, okay, now what is there to do? Remember, when anybody, they're looking for places to do, not places to go. They're looking for things to do, not places to go. So we looked at it, and we're going through, we can see, I think these are probably Instagram posts, Discover Peace River. Our challenge with this, it was a video with no voiceover, so that it's not telling us anything about it, it's just pretty pictures. So we wish that it had some voice, but I saw the little ferry there for a second. No, I don't know where it is or anything because there's no captions, but at least it gave us a little tiny introduction. So then we saw the 5 best attractions. And of course, you know, it's eat and drink, which I could do in any town, almost any town, boating and paddling, parks, shopping, and murals. And I kind of went, I'm not so sure that there's anything there that I can't get closer to home if I lived in Grand Prairie or somewhere else. And so, now, by the way, I don't want anybody to give anybody a bad time about Travel Alberta or Mighty Peace, because a lot of times when it comes to these websites, they're only as good as what you give them. And so when I saw, well, I saw the mountains, the Misery Mountain, ice skating, parks, eat and drink, and so shopping and murals, which, by the way, was almost everything there other than Misery Mountain and the Peace River. I could get almost in any town. So it really didn't set you apart. So I'm not so sure it really closed the sale, although Misery Mountain, the photography was amazing. And it did have, 6 ways to live, and there was some other information there. So generally speaking, it was great. So we looked at that, we made a list of those 5 things, and then we decided, okay, now let's go to TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is, behind Google, is the second most visited site to go to. And we could see the 12-foot Davis burial site, Shaftesbury Trail, Peace River. And so we went down there and so we made lists. And these lists weren't so much different than what we saw in Travel Alberta or Mighty Peace Tourism. But we saw, the Lookout, 12-foot Davis statue. Peace River Brewing was on there, Figure 8 Lakes, Peace River Water Spray Park, no photographs. And so there's lots, Green Valley Provincial Park, I'll tell you about that, St. Augustine. So we started looking at these and we thought, well, there's a fair amount to do there in Peace River. But then we decided, well, okay, besides even that, let us go to, and by the way, with this, look at this, populate TripAdvisor with photographs. And I'm going to come back to this again because it's free. So a lot of the places like your water spray park, for free, you can put a picture of it. It's a beautiful little spot for locals. I'm not so sure that it's a major tourism attraction, but it certainly lends credence to the quality of life here. And so that's number one. You're going to see a lot of those numbers. Those are just suggestions, no recommendations in this. And there's a lot of them. So then we went to Google. And of course, now it's all artificial intelligence. Peace Rivers, it gave me quite a list. Other activities, the cinema, shopping and murals. And by the way, it's pulling the same stuff from Travel Alberta, from the town's website, from TripAdvisor, and the AI is just grabbing anything that you put out there. And so it gave us, we could see Peace River experience in Travel Alberta. So we're looking at all these. What's the coldest temperature in Peace River? By the way, if you ever go to Google and look at those questions, they are actually asked. And the most popular questions asked are the ones that show up. In times of low water, things like there may be small backwaters where swimming could be attempted. They asked about swimming in the river. And so we keep going through these and finding these questions. And then I asked, how is living in Peace River? This is when we decide where we want to live or anything, we're going to go to the internet. And it says it's second largest center in northwestern Alberta, outdoor activities, affordable cost of living. Cons, it's remote, limited access, specialized goods, extreme weather. I mean, overall, it's a blend of natural beauty, community spirit, regional. And so we didn't find hardly anything negative about Peace River. So we thought, well, that's good. This is a good start. And so there was a lot of Reddit questions and everything. And so Then we finally said, okay, let's narrow it down. Let's go to the town's website. Now we're really zeroing in. And so in this case, we did go to the town of Peace River, talked about the nuclear project coming, homes, property, community, culture, and I'll give you an idea of here. Overall, I thought it was a great website. We thought it was better than most municipal type websites. But visiting Peace River, told a little bit there, good teaser with some of the videos, what to do, where to stay, and they do have an information map, which we got, and I'll tell you about that. And so we looked at that, and then we went down, and it has parks and fairgrounds, water play park, event parks. What was interesting about this is that a couple of things that I'll mention. We did pull up the map, and that was very handy for us. And so we did that. But when I went through this list, a couple of things. The second thing I would do is on the top, these are just suggestions, I would do living here as a category instead of home, property, utilities, community, culture, parks, do living here, visiting, business, weather, roads, town hall. Just to make it easy, because for us, I didn't know whether you should look at community and culture or recreation and parks or roads and infrastructure. I wasn't sure where I'd find visitor information. And then here's the bottom line. And I hate to say this, this is what you mentioned on the website. 12 local playgrounds, the event park, off-leash dog park, skateboard, sledding, all of these things here. You didn't mention anything that was really outside the town limits. I mean, it's just like, okay, here's Peace River and here's what we have within our town limits. I'm saying, what else do you have in the area if we're coming here to visit? So our challenge with the town's website, it was a good website, but the things you promote were really great for quality of life. If I was going to live here, I thought those assets were great. So it's really good for quality of life. However, I'm not so sure that if I lived in Grand Prairie or somewhere else, Edmonton, that I would drive up here because you have a spray park and you have ball fields and you have the Baytech Center and, you know, because a lot of communities do have those facilities. And so as a person looking for a place to live, fantastic. As a place to go to visit, yeah, I'm not so sure that there's anything I couldn't get closer to home, no matter where we're coming from. And so I think down the road, I'd love to see the town either make this site more robust or develop a standalone site. That would be really helpful. And then, but when we started looking at all the other sites and places, I mean, 12-foot Davis grave site, that's not on the town's website. None of these that you see coming up here were being promoted by the town at all that we could find. And if they were, we couldn't figure out. So we just thought, man, look at all this kind of stuff you have that we saw on other sites, but we didn't see on the town site. And so I thought, man, what else can we do? But there was enough there that I said, okay, let's head to Peace River. The very first one coming right out of the gates, out of these 9, is you should be the base camp to the Mighty Peace River experience. That's a brand. What sets you apart from anybody else? What makes you why should we stay here? And here's why I thought that. And this is once we arrived, we were here like one day, and I went, okay, you should be a base camp for this whole experience out here. And here's why. Number one, the river is 1,100 miles long. You are the namesake town along that river. I mean, the only other place I can really claim is maybe Fort St. John. You know, there's lots of little towns, and I just thought, you in Fort St. John, you kind of own the river itself. And I thought you could be the provisioning headquarters because you've got Walmart, Canadian Tire, No Frills, Co-op, Friesen Brothers, auto repairs, banks, drugstores. This whole list you see coming up is all right here. So if we're RVing up this way and we want to come out into the wildlands, this whole area of Alberta, why not spend that? Remember, overnight visitors spend 3 times more than day visitors. I'd rather see towns have half as many visitors spending twice as much money, wouldn't you? And I thought, if you've got all this stuff, why wouldn't they spend the night here and then go out for like day trips? You know, and there you go. They spend 3 times that. I said, man, if you could do that. And then I thought, you know what? If they wanted to be the base camp for this whole, where you spend the night and then go out during the day, can you really deliver on that? That's a promise you're making. And so here we go. So we're coming into town. We're coming up north from the south, came up through Nampa, came up here, and the first thing we saw was Cecil Thompson Park. Not mentioned at all on the town's website. Matter of fact, it wasn't mentioned on very much anywhere. And yet this is a beautiful park, and it's right there. It's like 5 minutes out of town. I mean, I'm going, wow, look at this. I mean, ice cream treats, they weren't happening when we were there, but, you know, but we saw the little ponds there. It talked about how it's aerated. I mean, it gave us a lot of good information, you know, and we had no idea it even existed. It had the little bouncy house there, which wasn't inflated while we were here, but, you know, it was just this great little park. And I kept going, oh my gosh, we're not even in town yet. And we're already finding really nice, pretty places to go and places to hang out. I see the teepee back there. I see these buildings. I'm not too sure what takes place in them because there's no real signage. And then I thought, got an idea. This is totally unused. That reader board, there's nothing on either side of it. I thought, man, would the county let you put like a Peace River, could we mount a little brochure rack and put something in there that says, hey, you're almost in Peace River, here's what we have to offer for you. And that can include whatever the county has. But we thought that might be a good way to get visitor information in the hands of people. Once we arrive, people want visitor information. We thought, man, maybe we have the provincial guide there. Maybe there's another guide that's more local to Peace River. And maybe we have one for the Mighty Peace if they have a printed guide that talks about the whole region. And we thought, if we do get visitor information in the hands. By the way, printed materials are not dead. Once we arrive, we want something we can hold in our hands. Before we leave home, absolutely, we're looking online. But now that we're here, you can get these, they're like $100, and they're weather resistant, they've got the flap on them. And so I just went, my gosh, you need to promote the heck out of this park. This is a huge quality of life asset for people in Peace River, even if it's, and by the way, visitors, we could care less about town limits or county lines. Have you ever said, oh my gosh, there's the city limits or the town limits, turn around quick? We don't care. And we really don't care about county lines. And I know Peace River is kind of in 2 counties. And so we saw this and the trail here, and I don't know how long it is, where it goes. I thought, if we could just have a little map of the trail and tell us what's back there. Distance, how far it goes. I don't know if it just goes to the RV park back there, which we found. And then we saw these buildings back there. There's a tent back there. And we don't know if anything happens there. Maybe there's some upcoming events. But the only thing we could find at the park was this, and it needs a refresh there because I can barely read Northern Sunrise County anymore. And the big challenge with this is they put like a county map right there, and here's a list of stuff, I cannot make out anything on that map. They took like a geology map and stuck it on there, and it doesn't make any sense. It shows the entire county. It would have been best if they just showed the major roadways and where these attractions are. So that could be a suggestion. You could even put a brochure holder that said, here's what the county has to offer for visitors coming into town. So once we went to Cecil Thompson Park, we got back out there, and thank goodness that you have these signs. These are called TOD signs, tourism-oriented displays. People pay for these. But Rendezvous RV Park, I would have never, ever known there was an RV park if it wasn't for that, because the only signage they have is U-Haul rentals and moving boxes. So if it wasn't for that sign, I would have never known there was an RV park back there at all, because they have no signage. But by the way, during COVID, we RV'd all over Canada and the United States in an RV. And this is a very, very nice RV park. And RVers should be a big part of your tourism, by the way. But nice cabins back there. I saw some domes and things, and I'm not sure if those are part of the RV park or not. But so far, we're not even in Peace River yet, and we're already going, my gosh, this place is fantastic. And then as we leave there, we see this. And I'm going, okay, 12-foot Davis grave site. That was on our list, Pat's Creek Trail. We had no idea where any of this stuff was, but thank goodness for those signs being there. And so we did actually go down and see those Pat's Creek. But on all these, you have trails everywhere in this town and in the area. And there's no picture of the trails that tells the distance, the difficulty level, how long it takes to walk, what the distance, there's no information. They're just there. And so, and remember, we hadn't been in town yet, so we had nothing physical in our hands to look at. But it looks like a great trail, and we loved the Agricultural Society, and they promote their shows. And I thought it was really great that they do this because it's an invitation for us to come back. So that was really well done. Beautiful grounds there. I mean, this is just in the last week. And by the way, I told Corrine, I said, thank you so much for the weather. You had one night of rain, which I'm sure the canola loved. But other than that, it's been really nice. And so we did find, this is up by the gravesite, and it was great. The county was there right when we got there, and they were weed eating all the grass and everything right while we were there. So we appreciate them showing up for us. We just timed it right. But when we saw this, we were just totally blown away. I mean, this right here just for us, even though we'd seen pictures of it online, when you see it in person, you could see where the Smoky River comes down, the confluence of the rivers. And when you could see all that there, it was just fantastic. And by the way, I'm not sure who wrote all these, but you guys are great storytellers. The whole 12-foot Davis thing, I'm going, was this guy 12 feet tall? What's the story? We were trying to make up stories, trying to figure out what that 12-foot thing was. And then finally they told the story about the mines and the claims and the 12 feet left over. And so it was really, did a really good job telling the story. And I thought that was great. And it was, I mean, we probably took twice as many photos as we usually take when we do these. That's how scenic it was. I just couldn't help it. And so just incredibly beautiful. And then, we're looking across and we could see, obviously, skiing, and I started my career developing Whistler Resort in BC. I mean, that was my very first project in this industry. And so when I saw this, now granted, Whistler has mile-long runs, but this here, I thought I'd love to ski that. It looked really good, particularly for what most people would call, outside the Rockies. I thought that was really nice, really well laid out, and I went, yeah, this is really nice. What a great amenity, what a great attraction. So then we did come down the hill, we did come into town, we just started driving around kind of downtown, and we came across, I think this is Riverfront Park, and loved the annual color there, the signage, and we were just blown away. I mean, this is our very first impressions of Peace River. So we saw the statue of 12-foot Davis there. We even loved the pole banners. My one thing, I said, I think it would be find your peace in downtown would be better. But I wasn't, I'm sure there was probably an argument somewhere, right, when that happened. But, find your peace in downtown, I get the play on words. But still, they're colorful, they're beautiful, everyone is different, and we like that. So far, we're going, what am I going to tell them? What do they need to do to fix besides telling us about the trails and stuff? And once again, we did get up on the trail right here at the park, but I don't know where it goes. I don't know how long it is. I don't know which way I know it goes both ways, but there's no information. And so, we did see a nice amphitheater there, right there. And I don't know, does anything take place in this amphitheater? Are there some things that go there? Then put out a reader board. Put out some kind of signs that says, by the way, every Thursday or twice a month. If there's anything that goes on there, always tell people to invite us back. Both locals and visitors, always invite us back whenever you can. So by putting up a sign, maybe it's just on the gazebo, that says, by the way, during the summer we host this and this and this here. That would be a great way to bring us back into town. While we were there, we did see this. We weren't too sure what it is, but it looked like a performing arts center because you could see most of the photographs and the pictures were that. And then we did see this sign. It says the the Donald Weaver stage, we have no clue what that is. So far, we have no idea what this building is. There's no signage we can find anywhere on the building. But then we thought, well, wait a second, I wonder if this is Athabasca Hall. And so we said, why don't you just, so there you go. See, I just did that this weekend for you. No, I didn't. And so we thought, just let us know, because this is Athabasca Hall, isn't it? It is, okay. And so that was great. So now, this is our very first morning. We thought, time for lunch. So what do you do when you go for lunch? The first thing you do is you go to TripAdvisor or Google and say, where's the best restaurant? We wanted one in downtown. So we did go and we had lunch at Board and Barrel, and it was great, really great restaurant. Good people working there. And it was nice to see, you know what? My number one criticism of Alberta is, why do all the buildings in this province, after we worked in Nova Scotia where they're yellow and blue and every kind of, why is it in Nova Scotia that every building has to be brown, beige, gray, or tan? Talk about drab. So this, having that kind of that rust red and the blue signs, went, yes, something other than those four, that color palette. And so from here, we decided, let's go find visitor information. Now, when we came down the highway, we could see all the question mark signs that lead to visitor information, but we're no longer on the highway. We're downtown. So we're downtown. We said, let's go get visitor information. So we actually have something we can hold in our hands, and we saw it there, Tourist Information Center. So we headed that way. And then when we saw it, we thought, okay, let's go that way. There it is. We found it. That was easy, because it's right there. It looks like it would be a visitor information center. We got the flags out. The pole needs, it needs some painting there. And so this must be the place. And so I thought, yeah, you know what? Paint the pole at least for your visitor. It's got beautiful flowers, so it must be being used. And so we went around it. There's nobody there, but there was a little sign up on the door. Some of the pavers are missing and everything. I went, yeah, it's a little bit dicey. And we went up to it, and it says, oh, Chamber of Commerce, we moved. So we went, okay, so the visitor information must be at the Chamber of Commerce, which is typical in a lot of towns. But I thought, why don't you instead put you've moved here and say, if you're looking for visitor information, head north up the hill to the historic train depot. But that wasn't there. So we just saw they moved. So what do? We went over to the Chamber of Commerce. It was locked in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week. And so then we went, okay, how are we going to find visitor information? And by the way, remember I showed you those little kiosks that hold, there ought to be visitor information right here mounted on the wall. Wherever you can, give us information, because that's what we're here looking for. And so we thought, could you at least do that? So then, and that's, once again, it's one of these. It doesn't have to be like this. It could be whatever design you want to make. That one I took in like North Platte, Nebraska. But, so then what we had to do? We went back out on the highway, went back to the park where we started, turned around and came down the freeway, or down the highway again, all the way down. Then we followed all the arrows, and then we found it. But you have to remember, not everybody is going to go straight to visitor information off the highway, so you got to finish the job. So you have wayfinding signs downtown that say it's that way, but you just point people in that direction and say, go that way. If you end up in somewhere else, in Timbuktu, sorry, because you don't finish the job. So those are great to give us general directions. So we did find this, and it is fantastic. I mean, it is really a beautiful building. I love seeing it. Jane is up there. She's walking towards it. And of course, she went into the doors over here, and nope, you don't go in those doors. You have to go over to the waiting room. And so we thought, well, could you add, right below here, just put visitor information on the door, just to make it easy. And by the way, when they're closed, you should have one of those, always make visitor information available 24/7, whenever you can. Because once we're here, we want something we can hold in our hands in our hotel room, in the car while we're driving. And so once we went in there, the gal that worked in there was fantastic. She did a really, really great job. And so we ended up with all of these things. Love these walking tours. Now, 101st and 102nd Street, when you're a visitor, I have no clue where that is. And then downtown, that's easy. South End, we figured that one out, but I have still had no idea where that's at as a visitor. And so she got an A+ for being helpful. Shaftesbury Trail, I'm pronouncing that right? Shaftesbury? Okay, and then recommended outdoor walking routes, hiking and walking trails, the museum. Now we're getting somewhere with our trails and our information. So we had a lot of information. We kind of wish this would have been all grouped together in one guide for the whole Peace River area. Would have been really nice. I'd have the hiking trails, the museum, the walking routes. And so this is, a Misery Mountain, Pat's Creek, Interpretive, Wilderness Parks Trail, Figure 8 Lakes. And so my whole question is, why do you have to send everybody to Grimshaw? So rather than say northeastern Sunrise County, why don't you just put 10 minutes north of Peace downtown, or 5 minutes, or Wilderness Park Trails, northeast of Grimshaw? No. You say, okay, Wilderness Park Trails, 20 minutes northwest of Peace River. Remember, we're trying to make Peace River your base camp. We're not trying to send, and Figure 8 Lakes Trail northwest of Grimshaw. So it sounds like Grimshaw has the better attractions. Okay? I'm just telling you our first impressions, and so I kept going, remember, we're in now, and remember, we're in Peace River, and we're trying to promote Peace River as the hub in this case, as your base camp. And so then we look over here, and we got northwest of Grimshaw again, and stop it already, and I would always say, if we're the base camp, then this is this way, wherever from Peace River, so that we don't always send everybody to the best places, which happen to be in Grimshaw, according to these brochures. Now, when we do the walking trails downtown, we have North End, downtown, South End, Lower West Peace. I wasn't sure what that was at this point. But once again, it was good information, and we loved it. And we could see here. And this is where we started to figure out the south, north, west, center. And we started figuring out, because you have this, it's all kind of divided up a little bit. So this really helped us out. It was nice having that. And then when it comes to Misery Mountain, those walking trails here, how long is it? What's the difficulty level? How long will it take to walk it? Are there, and I know there's different trails in there, but it'd be nice to have more information. We have a trail map, but no real information to help us walk those trails or walk your dog on the trails, whatever it is. So I don't have any idea on distances or anything. And even though you got distances, let's see, in meters, I'm not going to sit there with a tape measure and try to figure it out. So we also did get the Mighty Peace region. And our challenge with this one was, first of all, the Mighty Peace is marketing a huge area. This whole area is enormous geography. But the couple of things that kind of like drove me a little bit crazy, we have Peace River right here, and it shows 12-foot Davis gravesite, Dr. Green's cairn, it says Foot Davis Park, 6-foot Davis Park. I don't know if we ever found that one. Cecil Park is right there, but then right next to Peace River is Grimshaw, and in Grimshaw has the Bricks Hill, Mackenzie, Fork, the Mission, and all that stuff, which is really close. I don't know, why quit sending everybody to Grimshaw? It says Grimshaw up there, and so everything was like, everything's in Grimshaw. Peace River gets this little tiny circle right there. So for me, and sorry, and by the way, do not give these people, they're marketing an entire region. They're only as good as what you give them. So I don't want you to give them bad time. But because our focus was on Peace River, this wasn't really helpful for us. If we were been visiting the whole region, we want to go down to, we want to start down in some other areas all over, then this would be really handy. But in our case, we're just looking at Peace River. And so we do have that right there, and it shows the different areas but there was so much about Grimshaw that we finally decided we had to go there because it seemed like that's where everything was. And so we did get this. We used this map a lot because it has the trails. It showed the different areas of town. And so we thought, to win, if you wanted to become a base camp, this is our hub. We're the hub of your experience in the Mighty Peace area. Day trips are typically 45 minutes away, one way. 45. What can I do within 45 minutes? And so if you want to become a base camp destination, and by the way, these are just suggestions. Lodging, you have to have hotels and those options, and you have them in spades. Piece of cake. Food, shops, you've got all of that. You've got, we never ever went hungry here, I'll tell you that. And your food is very good and very diverse, which we really loved. Provisioning, you have all this stuff right here. So no matter what, if you have RV, if you have pets, if you have dogs, whatever it is, everything is here. And so then there's local activities. Walking, hiking trails, performing arts, local parks, variety of churches. It's all right here. So we decided, okay, let's go out and check out what's out there in 45 minutes from Peace River. And so we did go out there and figure out Figure 8 Lake, which is attributed to Grimshaw. Once we went out there, we couldn't figure out why it wasn't attributed to Peace River. Granted, Grimshaw's a little slightly closer, but the sign could use a refresh, but we saw it. It had good information there. It was really about their conservation association working there. I have no idea what this is. I don't know if that's for brochures or if that's a bat house, a bird house. I don't know. I didn't look. But it talks about it has a trail all the way around it, but on it, it says the trail bridge is closed. I don't know where the trail bridge is. Can we still walk around the lake? I don't know. It just says trail bridge closed, but I wasn't too sure. I wasn't too sure how long a loop it is or how long it would take to walk around the lake. But it looked like a great attraction, beautiful area. And so that kind of left more questions than answers when we saw the trail bridge closed. I don't know what that means. And then once we saw it, perfect for kayaking, canoeing, stand-up paddleboarding, all of those kinds of things. One thing that's really important, the lake is an amenity. What people are looking for are not amenities, they're looking for activities. So if you said you want to find perfect stand-up paddleboarding, canoeing, or kayaking, we want you to head to Figure 8 Lake. Always sell the activity on the lake or at the lake, not the lake itself. And that would be perfect for that. It's just beautiful. It's scenic. There's some people sitting down on the beach, and so there you go. Always promote the activity, not the amenity, the lake. And so once again, it's beautiful. And we thought, why isn't Peace River promoting this? And so then we went over to Cardinal Lake or Loch Cardinal over there. So this is Queen Elizabeth Provincial Park. Drove in there. Once again, it's beautiful. It's stunning. We could see it from everywhere. And this is 20 minutes. We're not at 45 minutes. We're 20 minutes away from downtown Peace River. You have this enormous lake out there. We did hear that there's not much fish population. Does it freeze all the way to the bottom in the winter? It doesn't? It does? Somebody said they can't support a fish population because it's too shallow. But it's a beautiful lake. And I just thought during the winter, is there like ice sailing, snowmobiling? Are there winter activities out here on the lake? And hockey, because I kept thinking, man, this could be a 12-month destination, even during the winter months, for certain activities like this would be fantastic out there on that lake. But while we were there, we ran into the Pioneer Village Museum, We looked at the reviews for it, and this all by itself is worth a special trip from Peace River. I mean, so if this is your hub, we go out there just for the museum, forget the lake. You know, we'll do that a different time maybe. But that looked fantastic. The one thing missing about this is we couldn't find out, the gate was locked, and it was the middle of the day, middle of the week, and we don't know when or if it's ever open. So these places need to invite us back. Tell us when you will be open so we can come back. So that was what was missing there, but it's a really cool place. Then we saw this. We spent more than an hour trying to figure out what that is. And obviously there's a racetrack there, but there was no information on Parks Canada, on Alberta Parks. There was Travelberta, Mighty Peace, Provincial Parks site, Grimshaw Town site. We couldn't figure out anything about this. No information whatsoever. What is it? It's a racetrack of some kind. Anybody know? Well, there's a rodeo there, but why? A rodeo typically doesn't use a whole track. So they do pro rodeo, but do they race around the track? Oh, they do. So they do use it for horse racing. Is it just the one event a year? Oh, okay. We did see there was a rodeo there, but I kept going, well, there wasn't really any information about it. So anyway, it looks like a fantastic facility. Once again, wouldn't it be great if Peace River was your base camp? You send people out. And nothing against Grimshaw at all, you know. And then we saw the hall there. It looked good. We saw pictures of that. You can rent it. But what a beautiful area. So then we thought, well, this is pretty cool. We're only 15, 20 minutes from downtown Peace River. And then we find this, Mighty Peace Golf Club. We're going, oh my gosh, I didn't know there was any golf in Peace River or anywhere near. So we just tripped over that by accident. We saw one of those those blue signs. And by the way, when we were out there, there was a line of people waiting to play. I mean, they were all waiting for their 15-minute or whatever it is, tee times out there. And it's a beautiful course. I'm going, my gosh, this is not being promoted. And I believe it's a public course, right? So it's open for public play. I mean, it's beautiful. And I'm going, we're just going, what the heck? You know, I even like the sign when you leave, keep calm, golf on. You know, awesome. And so we thought, okay, since Grimshaw seems to be the tourism hotspot, we did go to Grimshaw. And you know what? It's not a provisioning headquarters. Nothing against Grimshaw. I think it's a great little town, but anyway. As a matter of fact, while you're there, I would absolutely promote Mile Zero for the Mackenzie Highway. I mean, we don't mind promoting Grimshaw because guess what? Yeah, they do have, I think they've got an A&W that you don't have, right? But that's about it. So you know what? We don't mind sending people to Grimshaw to see that. I mean, what the heck? This is still, they do have a hotel or motel, a couple of them maybe. But still, you're the base camp. So why not? I mean, they don't have near what you have. I'm sure when they go shopping, guess where they go? Here. And so then we went down the Shaftesbury Trail, and what a beautiful drive. Best road in the county. I mean, it was nice to go down. The road was smooth. It's beautiful the whole way. What a gorgeous drive. We're driving down there. We see Strong Creek Park. We went in there, checked it out. It's beautiful. We kept going down. We saw the Fork and then the whole historic site. We saw the cairn there. I mean, this is just stunning. And this is stuff that's not being promoted by the town at all. And I'm just going, wow, you know, Alexander Mackenzie right here. And so we kept going on, and then we saw the little ferry, and this was really cool. Now, you know, ferries and trains are like this romantic thing. And so we went there, and we saw the ferry there, and if we would have had more time, we would have gone across it just for the heck of it. Just because we wanted to try it. But they talked about the history. Once again, really good story about how they tried to get people across the river. And we watched the ferry over a truck that was waiting. And it was interesting how they do the pontoons so the river can go through the pontoons and how it's actually run by a tugboat that's actually just strapped. I mean, it was just a really cool little thing. And then I thought, and I'm not sure it said there was this ice bridge. Can you actually drive across the river in the winter? Not anymore. I was going to say if that ever, but I saw that ice bridge and I wasn't sure what that meant. Said 3 tons, so I'm not too sure what that meant, but it was just a question we had. I thought, well, that might be a spectator sport. What's that? They do drive over it. Okay. Yeah, okay, and that must be what that is there. And I know that they maintain or watch the river for ice and everything. And then I thought, the river, is there a big, my family lived up in Hay River and they had in the spring when the ice broke up, it created like thunder. And does that happen here too? Because people drive just to see that. And it's quite a spectacle. So as we're heading back, we even saw more historic sites over here. I mean, this is just phenomenal. We really, really wanted, there's a church or building right back here in the trees. We wanted to go back and just look at it. But it's like, you have to report to the main building. Well, the only main building we could find is the jail. I don't know where the main building is. Is there a main building you could go to? Because the correctional institute is there. That's where you go? Yeah, that's not really a high on my tourism list. Go over to the jail to figure out how to, because we just wanted to walk back there and we thought, nope, we're too close to being incarcerated. We're not going to take a chance. But really pretty sight. Just, I wish we could have seen it more. Even the fur trade was really great. Even about the agriculture and the history of the area was amazing. Just so you know, my great-grandfather was a French-Canadian fur trapper that went through Peace River. He was part of the original Hudson's Bay Company. And I know I think Mackenzie was like fighting, was it him? Or no, it was a 12-foot Davis that was fighting the Hudson's Bay Company. But anyway, so we had some good history here that tied it to our personal roots. And that's great. And then of course, do you have an airport? That wasn't even being promoted. I mean, I'm just going, you got to be kidding. Yeah, another reason you're the base camp, whatever it is, And I'm not sure if are there any commercial flights that come in there anymore? No. But even for somebody just coming up in, whether it's private planes and I don't know if they do like flight lessons out of there or gliding or anything like that. It's a pretty nice airport. So, and then of course, with the hospital and the medical facilities, it's just slam dunk. If you want to do anything that's in this wilderness area of Alberta up here in the north, you got to go there. And then, Friesen Brothers, I mean, if you're going out on a day trip, why wouldn't you start right there? That deli is fantastic, by the way. I mean, we stay at the Best Western, so, 2 minutes later we could have any meal, anytime. But I just thought, for a day trip destination here, everything you could need is right here in Peace River. Why not take advantage of it? Why not? And so our question number 1, can you deliver on the promise as a base camp for this whole region? Yeah, absolutely. And I only went out like 35 kilometers out here to find out what was in these areas. And remember, we didn't really go north. We didn't really go east. We didn't really even go west a little bit. We did go out here to Cardinal Lake and stuff, but I don't even know. There might be a ton of stuff we missed. So this morning, we saw that St. Isidore has this, and I'm not sure if it's open to the public, if there's a museum in there, what's in there, but this is another attraction that's an attraction that's just 10 minutes away. And so we're just going, my gosh, look at all the stuff you have. And I'll bet, did we even scratch the surface? Probably not. And so, as we drove by, then we did see that there's like Peace, Mugbod, and Fair. Well, that looked fun, but that's an invitation for us to come back, and they kept doing those over there at Cecil at the park, and so that was great. But where I found the very best marketing for Peace River? Believe it or not, it was earlier today, I went to Wikipedia. Of all the places, This is everything. This is what's listed on Wikipedia about Peace River. The museum, the lake, the village museum, all that stuff on that list was in Wikipedia for Peace River. Not for the region, for Peace River. That's just the first part of it. And all of those were in Wikipedia for Peace River. I mean, it does a better job marketing you than all the tourism websites and everything put together. And who would go to Wikipedia for tourism? I just wanted to know about the culture, because one thing I love that we both just love about here is how diverse your population is. Whether it is Aboriginal people, whether it is, Karina's from Jamaica. You've got people from the Philippines. Michael, where he's back there, from the Philippines. You've got people from East India. You've got people from everywhere. And we loved the fact that it was such a melting pot. But look at all the stuff that you got. That's why I was on Wikipedia. I mean, it just keeps going on and on. Trophy hunting, fishing, outfitting companies. And look at all the golf courses. We found that one by accident. I didn't know there was 1, 2, 3, 4 golf courses in your day trip area. And maybe this is not all right. Not too sure. If it's more than 45 minutes away, we probably don't want to promote it. Do you recognize all this stuff? Yeah? Is most of it fairly within borderline? But I was just on Wikipedia, it showed more than 40 attractions in the Peace River area. So, the second question is, how far will people drive to come here? There's a rule in tourism. It's called the 4 times rule. And that doesn't even apply to tourism. People will go somewhere if you can keep them busy 4 times longer than it takes them to get there. So if I have to drive an hour, do you have 4 hours worth of activities that are going to cater to me? So for instance, if you needed a prescription, would you drive all the way to Grand, and you couldn't get it locally, would you drive all the way to Grand Prairie and pick up that prescription, turn around, and come back? Or you say, while I'm there, I'm going to go this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. We all do it. We all live by the 4 times rule. Even when it comes to movies, they always say the theater needs to be, we always look at the distance between the theater and the population within a 20-minute drive, because 4 times 20 minutes is the length of a movie. And so, will people drive to visit? Do you have enough to pull people from 2 hours from Grand Prairie or 5 hours from Edmonton? These kinds of things, I don't know if you've ever heard of Zorb, big hamster ball where you go in the middle of it. There's a short one in Calgary. But all these things, people will drive from Edmonton here for if you had them. But you have enough, those 40, if you said, did you know that if this is your base camp and you want to come and visit us, and by the way, you know what our goal is? For people to live here, start a business here. I just kept going, man, so if we want people here from Grand Prairie, 2-hour drive, so 2 times 4 is 8, do you have 8 hours worth of activities? Absolutely. Piece of cake. If you want people to drive 5 hours, that's 20 hours. That's basically 3 days. Well, it depends. We're not going to do everything on the list, but we'll do the things that cater to us. But I think you could do it. You don't have to have all that stuff. So at the end of the day, I said, you know what? You guys, you need to do a standalone website. And by the way, this is nothing against Travel Alberta, Mighty Peace. They're promoting bigger regions. You can create a website that partners with theirs, that narrows the focus to you and that 45-minute drive. And so one of the very best websites anywhere is the one they do in Squamish. Isn't it great? There we go. And what makes it great in Squamish is it's all about the photography. But look at the photography here. Squamish gets like 80 inches of rain a year. It's wet up there. But look at their website. It's all about the photography. And by the way, the base for their website was $70. You can go get a Wix or a WordPress template, and then you photograph it, you populate with photography and all kinds of information. And granted, Squamish is, it's close to because I started my career developing Whistler Resort. By the way, back then, no way would we stay in Squamish. It was like miners. It was as redneck as you could ever imagine. Miners and loggers. Now it's the youngest city in Canada, Squamish. But their website does a really, really good job of photography, 10 ways to play, and they go through the 10 ways to play. And so I thought, man, you can do that here. 10 ways to play would be easy here. Whether you want kayaking, whether you want boating, whether you want history, whether you want culture, you name it, we've got 10 ways to play here. The one thing I didn't see much in Peace River was bikes. I didn't see bike racks. I didn't see bike trails. I didn't see maybe all your trails are biking and foot. I didn't see bike lanes. And so I thought that's because it's the fastest, it's the most popular hobby sport in Canada. But even 10 ways to play local business. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that. And it wouldn't have to be expensive to do. And all of this before we even look at what's right in town. So, quick facts. The average visitor is active 14 hours a day. The primary draw is 4 to 6 hours. Whatever they come here, the primary draw. Visiting friends and family, they're coming here for work, maybe that's 8 hours a day. But then, complementary activities, what else do you have for us while we're here? That's where downtown, that's where your local parks, that's where all that comes in, is this. What else do you have while we're here? And that's where 80% of the spending takes place, non-lodging. So, spending time in Peace River. Now we did the outside, let's narrow down. The very second thing, you need wayfinding. I gotta tell you, yeah, So you know what? By the way, there may be things here that you're already working on. Remember, we didn't talk to anybody. If you're already working on it, you've just been validated. So they're very nice, but all they do is say, go that way. That is not helpful. It's more frustrating than anything. So let's talk about wayfinding. It educates locals. You know what? When we ate at Mr. Mike's, and there was a gal there, she's lived here for 4 years. I think she was from BC. And I said, so have you ever done like Misery Mountain? She goes, no, I know where it's at, but I don't know anything about it. I said, Figure 8 Lakes, have you ever been there? She goes, no, where's that? See, a lot of times this even educates your locals about what you've got and where it's located. And so it delivers a better visitor experience. It mitigates traffic flow. It introduces your brand because you're going to have that, base camp, whatever the Peace River logo. And it creates a sense of place and we've arrived. And it eliminates any kind of sign clutter. And right now you have what I call a broken system. You have a couple signs downtown, but that's it. Like us finding the Visitor Information Center. That's broken. The only way I can find it is if I'm on the highway. In other words, you have more signs telling people how to leave Peace River than you do how to get into Peace River. Did I just validate somebody's point? Yeah. I mean, so for us, we went, okay, here's the Upper West Side or whatever, West Side Peace River, North End, Downtown, South End, Lower West Peace. We finally figured out that's what they meant because I saw it on the Google map. So for us, that was big. But the big challenge is for us, all roads lead to Grimshaw. What is it with you guys in Grimshaw? I mean, there's sign here, Grimshaw, 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 Grimshaw. There's nothing on the signs. I would go to the Ministry of Highways and say, could you add West Peace River on the sign? That's where most of the provisioning takes place. By the way, I'm not angry. It's just frustration. So it's like, come on, you guys, help us out here. And so help us find all this stuff. We are here for a week, so we found it. But we are here to actually drive down every single road and find stuff. Most visitors aren't going to do that. Even if they're looking to live here, I'm not talking about just leisure visitor. Somebody wants to move here, relocate a business here, they're going to have to spend a week trying to figure out where anything is. And so, by the way, navigation systems are not a substitute for wayfinding. You know, when we use navigation, I tell you, I use Google Maps, Apple Maps all the time. Most cars come in navigation. You know what we use them for? To type in things we already know exist. We just need to know where it's located. Well, what about all the stuff we didn't know exists? Like Athabasca Hall. I didn't know that would exist. But so we need wayfinding, and we'll say, oh, I didn't know they had a performing arts center. Let's follow those signs. Or, oh, they've got a hospital. It's over on that side of the freeway. We should go over there. Or a veterinary clinic. Or whatever. I mean, it's not, so don't let anybody ever tell you, oh, everybody has navigation. That's only what we use to type in things or say, hey, Siri, could you take me? Your phones are all going to go off now. Hey, Siri, take me to the nearest medical clinic. Or to, No Frills, wherever. So important. It includes vehicular wayfinding, pedestrian wayfinding. When we're downtown, we're on foot. How do we find it? It took us 2 days to find the theater. It was back 1 block. Well, just down the road here. And monument signs like you've arrived. It includes seasonal district identifier. When I talk about districts here, I'm not talking about the district in a provincial sense. I'm talking about north end, south end, west side, whatever you call these. And then seasonal trail maps, trailhead. This is all part of wayfinding. And then visitor information kiosks. Where do you find them? Because you already have good gateway signs. Coming down the highway, this is coming back in from Grimshaw. You do have that. Very nice. Those are very nice. Love them. But these are wayfinding, vehicular wayfinding. Never more than 5 items on a sign. That's rule number 1. Number 2, no more than 6 lines of text. And then number 3, you need about 2.5 centimeters for every 6 meters of viewing distance. So letters, need to be, 4 to 6 inches tall. Though even your signs downtown, the lettering is so small that you really won't see it when your car is right there in front of them. And they're nice. By the way, don't give the town a bad time, because you know what? Without those, there'd be none. And so, this is in Miramichi, in New Brunswick. That's what they did. They're pretty inexpensive. That's another sample that's on an existing power pole. This one's just really simple signage. This doesn't have to be, they're not cheap. I think some of the best wayfinding I found in the Cusp over in BC, in the Kootenay Rockies. Look at that. That's really cool. And granted, it's a small town, but once again, wayfinding. If there was, and there's your monument signs, that's downtown Nelson, British Columbia, Baker Street. In Cardston, Cardston's got that, and they've got all the little icons so you can see what's where. And they even have them on the cross beams where the street lights are. And they've done new set now that fits their brand because they have the Carriage Museum there. Wayfinding, you got to do wayfinding. One of my very favorites is this one. The reason this is Prosser in the state of Washington, it's wine country. The reason I like this is because if any of these change, you can take off that one and just change it. See what I mean? So if Athabasca Hall, for instance, moves somewhere down the road, you could change the sign without taking down the whole thing. But something with a Peace River logo up at the top like that, you even put your website or a hashtag down there, it would be awesome. Because we saw a list of boat ramps. And every time we tried Carter's Camp Boat Launch, we never did find it. Google Maps didn't have it. Apple Maps didn't have it. And we could only find one boat ramp. So there was only that one that we could find. And by the way, wayfinding is an investment, not an expense. Every single city and town that's done wayfinding will see retail sales surge increase by 18%, just having wayfinding signs. And if there's ever a place where you're divided up like you guys are, and yeah, go ahead.
If anybody wants to see our new wayfinding sign,
Oh!
June 23rd council meeting agenda, you can go on there, check it out. Really.
Yay! See, so you are working on it. And by the way, let me do a final note. That was good. I'm so glad you're working on it. If there was better wayfinding communities, you'd cut the divorce rate in half. Yeah, so anyway, well, that's great. That's awesome that you're doing that. I mean, this is in Banff. These are pedestrian wayfinding, so it's smaller letters. These are pedestrian wayfinding. This was in French Lick, Indiana, but once again there. I mean, this is in Whistler Resort, just wayfinding. And by the way, we did these for Devon, down near Edmonton, and Devon has all these. It's Bike Town, Alberta. And they've got, at every trail system, they've got one of these, and then they will tell you how long it is and the name of the trail. So something simple like that on your trails would be so helpful for us that are visitors, because we didn't know where to start. You know, when it comes to wayfinding, this is Bracebridge, Ontario. I mean, that's the logo they use. It's the Muskoka region of Ontario. Visitor information, kiosks, trail maps. I mean, so I'm glad that you're doing this. And wayfinding is, as you know, it's not cheap. It's the most expensive thing we have in here is wayfinding, because every sign has to fit federal highway standards and everything. They're all breakaway signs. So if a car hits them, they fall away from the car. So there's a lot more to it. But this, when we talk about size, that's in Bracebridge. There's our mayor right there in Bracebridge. But they need to be substantial so you can see them from a distance. And they call that a decision point. I need to be able to have time to move over a lane or to make the right turn. And so that's really important. So we tried to find the Green Valley Provincial Park. We never could find it. Google Maps took us here. I walked out there to the cliff and it was like, whoa. And then we went to Apple Maps and it took us somewhere else that wasn't even remotely close. We never found it. Don't even know if it exists. And so, but it was marketed. So, and by the way, the second I looked over that cliff, I went, wow, where do we put the zip line? Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? I mean, that's so, what you have here is so incredible. I was just blown away. So with wayfinding, I won't harp on this anymore, but we have, if you ever go to Destination Development Associate, we have a website. We're going to get you access to it. And if you go to it, there's whole videos on wayfinding. If you're already designed the system and have got the costs and everything, great. But there's all these how-to videos on there that we also are on YouTube. There's all kinds of, like, developing a wayfinding system is right there for you. Now, while I'm on wayfinding, let me tell you about my pet peeve. We're staying at the Best Western up there. We could easily go right through here and right here to get on the freeway or on the highway. But no! You do not enter there. So what you do is you make us, so rather than make it easy for us, you want us to go to Grimshaw. So it's 2 lanes. Why? Why can't we just go there? I would have done it, except for every single time I go to do it, there's a provincial cop sitting at Tim's waiting in line to get coffee. And so I just kept going, so why do you make us we have to go there, then we have to go there, then we have to go to Grimshaw. Well, actually, we could turn left here, then we go down here. Now, I don't mind this because I love excavators. But other than that, this is every single day. I probably 30 times since we've been here, we've had to do this, Mickey Mouse. There was one time, there was a cop had somebody pull over right here. I just did a U-turn. And he didn't, it doesn't say no U-turn. But so I did it. And then I thought, okay, I better be a law-abiding citizen. And so I went all this way, and I'm going, why can't you just, I don't understand. I mean, I could go down there in front of the pet value and go all around through there, but I go, why can't I I mean, it's half a block long, it's already 2 lanes wide. Why do you make it difficult for people? And there's not just the Best Western, we've got the Nova right next to us. I mean, to me, there's got to be some rationale for it, but I, for the life of me, can't figure it out. Whew. Okay, I'm done venting now. So, North End. I thought, okay, we saw this trail when we were downtown and at Riverfront Park, and I don't know where it goes. We did walk around the corner, but it kept going. We thought, let's just follow the trail. So we did follow the trail, and we're coming along, and we see the overpass, and then I'm going, what the heck is this? So I walk up there, and I went, oh my gosh, that is so cool you guys have that. I had no idea that you had this pedestrian bridge under there that went all the way across. And I thought, man, you could put some picnic tables. You could make this a great place to just go hang out with lunch. I mean, I don't know, because we were just in Fort Benton, Montana doing one of these, and they had a little bridge, and they put out these picnic tables out there, and I just went, you should do that. So I just thought, that is really cool. That is really a cool asset you guys have. Because I was wondering, how would anybody ever get across this river if you're not in a vehicle? And there it was. I mean, if I go back to that, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Once again, no clue. Until we just kind of tripped over it. And so we kept going down, followed the trail all the way until it ended, and we found these beautiful parks. We accidentally found the Arboretum, which is there. It's beautiful, although the signs need some redoing. Oh, they are being, see, look, you guys are way ahead of me now. So that's good, yeah, because it's really a beautiful park, and so that's great that you're getting that redone. I mean, I know what the weather's like. It's hard to get those things to last more than a season. And then, when we saw the Baytex Center, I mean, we just went, this is incredible. For a town of, 6,700 people, this is amazing what you have here. It really is. I mean, we're just blown away. I mean, that's just beautiful. We didn't go inside. I wasn't sure if it's open to the public. I mean, can visitors go in there? And probably pay a fee or whatever, right? No? You can just... And I don't know what all is even in there, but is it recreation and stuff, or is it just an arena, or hockey? It's a rec center? And so visitors could go in there and just pay or whatever and use it? Okay, that's really good to know. But once again, it's a great asset for both visitors and for locals. So, really beautiful. And we saw right across the street the pool. I mean, this is all our experience, in the North End. This looks like an amazing school. I think they only teach French, right? It's just 100% French, Francophone. And so anyway, it looked like a pretty amazing school. We also found the little sledding hill, and these are great local attractions, but we just thought, this is really nice. This is really something. I mean, sporting, everywhere we went, we were impressed of how a town of 67 could have this much stuff. And by the way, you're more than 6,700 because you're I would imagine high level probably comes here for their shopping. Do they have a Walmart up there? Probably not. See what I mean? So you have a much bigger area. But once again, everything was well maintained, spectacular. I mean, even the dog off-leash park. However, we drove by another field that didn't have these amenities in it, and there was like 10 times more dogs. It was way bigger. You know where I'm talking about? We could try to find it again. But it was bigger and it was really well used. But I was so glad. Look at that. 80% of millennials have dogs. Do we have any millennials in here that don't have dogs? You're a millennial and you don't have a dog? She has a cat. Way to go, so do we. So, but generally speaking, 80%. We saw the cemetery, beautiful. Love all the stone, by the way, that the town has done around. I mean, it's just exceptional. We did see the BMX park, and it thanked people for working on it. It's an unsupervised area, but it was locked. Is it ever open? Or is it just not used anymore? Because it's been locked the whole week we've been here. It's got chain link on it. And I just thought, well, then take it off your parks list if it's no longer open to the public. Maybe it's used for events or something. I'm not too sure. But didn't know. And so, the North End, we spent part of a day driving around. Beautiful neighborhoods, nice schools. I mean, just, we were like, wow, I could live here. Really nice. So then we decided to head down to the South End. I don't know. Do you call these North End, South End? Is that, okay. I didn't know whether it be South Town or, whatever. So we did go down to the South End. We did see the museum. Actually, we found the museum by accident because I was at the mall, walked outside, we parked on the side, and there was a bridge, the overpass over the creek was up there. I walked up on the bridge, and went, oh, there's the museum. Because no wayfinding yet. And so we did see the museum. We did go through there. I love the fact that they changed things up. Museums really need to change things up so that it doesn't become static. So it's good seeing beautiful photography in there. And I came from a family of photographers. So I love seeing that, told great stories. It was really, really a nice experience. And I love seeing in town all the things that the museum does. Look at all these. Look at all the different events. These ought to be front and center, like on that tourism website you're going to create. About here's just what our museum is doing in town. Always invite us back for these kinds of things. Really well done. We did see over kind of across the street from the Catholic Church above the river there, we did see, information about the service berries. I think there were service berries growing there, and how that was really important to the First Nations people of that being here. And then, everywhere we went, there were incredible views. By the way, just a question: the bridge, what's going to happen to that? It looks like it was just painted. Is it going to reopen, or will it be pedestrian, or? In your lifetime, something, okay. Is that a subject I should just steer clear of? Yeah, okay. Next. I just, everywhere we went, you only went 3 minutes and you had great views. We were even picking out houses to go ahead and accommodate, we just go, that's a beautiful house, I like that one. Then we like that one too. And we were everywhere, both North End, South End, everywhere we went. And we saw each part of town has their own sledding. And I always thought these were sledding hills, but apparently they're sliding hills in Peace River. And so anyway, we saw those. Each neighborhood had their own. We did see, now, are these over there, that's a regulation tennis court, right? They were playing pickleball in it. Just so you know, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in North America. If there was something you want to do as a community to put on your list, pickleball. It started with boomers like ourselves that were too old to play tennis anymore, so we picked up pickleball. And now it's gone down to grade school kids and everybody, pickleball, fastest growing sport. So if you ever want to add some more amenities, pickleball court's the way to go. And it's picking up steam. We thought, as the boomers kind of go away over time, nobody's going to come and play it. It is now huge everywhere. So anyway, they were playing pickleball there. We did find the Sagatawa, did I pronounce it right? Lookout up there, and once again, just phenomenal. I love seeing the confluence of the rivers, and we love being able to see all of downtown from up there. But this parking lot was closed. I go, why did they close that parking lot? I mean, maybe there's some runoff or I'm sure there's a story behind it there. But I thought, man, that was a really nice parking lot. But down in that area, we did also see this sign. I can't read a word of it. So it needs whoever, I don't know if that's the town or the neighborhood, but it's Historic Hills, I think, but we couldn't read any of it. So somebody sometime ought to, maybe it'd be an Eagle Scout project if you have Boy Scouts here or something like that. This was the only boat launch we could find anywhere in town. Is it the only one in town? There are other ones, never could find them. We used Google Maps, Apple Maps, we just could not find them. And that was the only one we could find. By the way, he parked his truck way out. He was way out there. I thought, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how far out his truck was when he launched his boat. But once again, that was the only one we could find. At that boat launch, we need fishing information. All this is, it says you can get a pit. If you catch a fish, there's a pit tag reader below. It's not below, there's nothing there. There's no information here about fishing the river. Where do you get a fishing license? Are there catch limits? Are they edible? Is it catch and release? I mean, I can see you've got walleye and northern pike and suckers and all these fish, but it just tells you that they spawn here and this is there. It doesn't tell you anything about fishing if somebody wanted to do fishing. We went on the town site. We went on every site we could find. We could find no information if I wanted to fish in this area. And is the fishing good in the river? Fishing is just not a thing in Peace River, huh? Okay. But I just thought it was interesting. It tells you attention anglers, but doesn't really give us any information except how to read tags, but there's no tag reader. So that's a provincial thing you could pass on up the pike. And then once again, right there, there's the trails are going, but I don't know where they go, how far they are, whether they all interconnect. But the south end, more nice neighborhoods, nice parks, sporting facilities, you name it. And then the west side. So yes, we stayed the Best Western. By the way, this is, for somebody who lives on the road 250 days a year, this was one of the best Westerns I've ever stayed at. Well managed, nice rooms. I mean, just a class act. And when you live in hotels, that doesn't come easy by my book. But they do a really good job. I'm sure your other hotels do. And the fact that it's right next door, probably one of your very best restaurants, really good. The service there was good. The people there are great. And it's 2 seconds away. We did look for the Iron Bridge restaurant. Is this where it used to be? Okay, so here's the thing. The owners of this, we did eat there. The owners of this need to go online and populate TripAdvisor and Google My Business. And this is for every business owner, not just them. But when you go in there, Peace River, Water Spray Park, we need to add a photo. There's no photos of the Mackenzie Cairn, a powwow apparently, Muscovite Lakes Provincial Park. I don't even know where that is because that one threw me for a loop. This is all Peace River. Strong Creek Park, all of these, there's just no photos. And I'm going, you guys, it's free. Somebody's got to start populating this stuff. Leather and More, I never did. Does that exist in Peace River? Okay. Rock and Bowl. I mean, a lot of the stuff we saw on TripAdvisor, I don't even know if it even exists. But when we look for restaurants, it says Board and Barrel, and it says when they're open, it's got their clothes, it's got their Facebook for the menus. I clicked on Own This Business, and yes, somebody at Board and Barrel has already claimed it. They've got great photographs, and it's all free to do this. Google My Business. But nobody has gone in to Iron Bridge Restaurant to say, it still says it's open. It's not. So the owner of the new restaurant could go to Google and say, hey, you know what, I don't have access to this, but that restaurant is closed. Can you please remove this listing? And they will. Google will do that. And so this was all your restaurants, and so we use that a lot. And every business should claim their Google business listing, because some of your businesses, and I'm not going to put them all out here, don't even claim their business listing. And that's too bad, because it's free, and Google, everything's Google now. 90% of searches are Google. And then, once again, we're on the west side. There's the Nova, the Best Western's over there. We see more trails, but there's no signs. I don't know how long they are. I don't know where they go. I don't know what the difficulty level is. But you've got trails like I can't believe, and they're paved, they're easy, they're a piece of cake. Sports fields up there. When I talk about highest and best use of property, I'm going, why isn't a hotel up there? Sports fields can go anywhere. But if I'm playing baseball, what a view. Beautiful area. And by the way, just yesterday, we've been here a week. Just yesterday, we found the college, and I had to Google it. It's right behind our hotel. Didn't even know. No wayfinding. Yet. And so, I'm sure Northern Lakes College will be there, for that. And so, by the way, notice how the signs, see how they stick up like that? That's breakaway signage. So if somebody hit it or something, it would fall away from vehicles and stuff. So that's part of wayfinding. And then we did go over, and when we went over to Misery Mountain, I went, why isn't this a mountain biking park in the summer months? I don't know if it's publicly owned, privately owned, or publicly owned and privately operated. I don't have any idea. But I just kept going, this would be in a great mountain biking park in the summer. You know what? In Whistler Resort, they do more business in the summer than they do in the winter. And it's mainly mountain biking. And I thought, man, this would be really great. This could be a great summer attraction. Here, of course, is the trail that's there at Misery Mountain. And once again, we would just like to have more information if we want to walk those trails, because they look amazing. Like to know the difficulty level. If we're on this one, is it really steep? Is it like a 1? Are these paved all the way around, or is it all gravel? There's just really not much information. And then, just so I sound like a broken record, more trails without any signage. Don't know whether that's part of Misery Mountain or if it's a separate trail. So the west side, all the major amenities, your hospital, medical, big box, industry, everything's over there that you need. And that brings us to downtown. So now we're in downtown, and the very first thing we see is this, and we thought it's gone out of business, but I will tell you, about 20 minutes before we're here tonight, we drove by and it was open. No signs that say when or if it's ever open, and the whole week it's been closed. And also we drive by tonight and all of a sudden it's open. How does any local know when they can ever go there? And so I don't know what its hours are or anything, but I thought, just put up a sign, invite us back. Looks like a great little miniature golf course. This I absolutely love. I took a bunch of pictures of, because where we live, we're on a hilltop, it's all pine forest. And I cannot put a post in the ground, but like this, it's all freestanding. I went, ooh, I want to build one of those. But that's really cool. That is really, I thought that the Sassy Squatch was really a cool thing. Really neat. Then we saw this. I don't know what this is. Is this, I don't know, what is this? Is it a event hall? Is it a restaurant? Our guess is that it's nothing. Okay, well, I don't know whoever owns it. They could just put there that we're not open and just put building for sale or whatever. But yeah, we looked like, it said if it is open, you need to make it look like it's open, and obviously it's not. And then coming back into downtown, remember what I said about brown, gray, beige, and tan? We're finally glad to see something with some color, even though you have probably more cannabis shops per capita than we've seen anywhere on the planet. Really? I mean, I think there are 5 or 6 in a downtown of 6,700. I mean, you know, I thought Nelson had a corner on that market. They're famous for BC Bud, you know. And over there, but anyway, I just loved it. I thought you could use some pots and planters here, but I just loved seeing some color. Makes downtown look nice. So that's not a criticism about cannabis shops, but boy, you do have a lot of them. And then we did find 12-foot Davis Events Park. We had to Google it to find it because wayfinding isn't quite there yet, but it's on the way. And we did see, which creek is this? That is Hart Creek. Okay, I wasn't sure. I thought it was. But we saw it, but I don't know if any events, is this used much for events? It is? So it would be really great if somewhere here, like, first of all, we thought, these right here, are these to like keep water from going in channels rather than creating a river down the mountain? Or do those play some kind of purpose? Oh, they're in the hill, okay. And then this here is the amphitheater seating? Yeah. Okay. I didn't know. I thought, well, maybe now, you know, people, they go over there or whatever. But I thought if there's interesting or just telling the story about hill slides or whatever, it might be worth an interpretive sign. Wasn't sure about those, what they were. But if I go back to this, our main thing, could we put a sign somewhere that tells us, here's the upcoming events for 2025? Just, you know, a reader board. Always invite us back. Always invite us back. And I'm talking about locals and visitors. And remember, the number one reason people travel is visit friends and family. So when friends and family visit you, where do you take them? So it'd be nice if we knew that there was upcoming events to always bring us back. So, the water play park, awesome. Great amenity, great for families. You know, just so you know, for the first time in Canadian history, jobs are going where the talent is or where it wants to be. Never happened before. If you wanted to work in the automobile industry, you'd go over to Windsor, Ontario. We always went, if you're in forestry, you'd go wherever the forestry is. But nowadays, jobs are going where the talent is or where it wants to be. That means quality of life, which is community development, is now leading economic and tourism development. That's what Peace River is doing right. You have lost a little bit of population over the last couple of years, but generally you've been growing, and that has been really good we were really glad to see that overall your population is growing. Because these days, quality of life is leading economic development, and you're proving to us that you have it in spades. With like the Bitech Center, with these community splash pads, all of these amenities here you have for families. And by the way, you have a very young population on a provincial and a nationwide standard. We looked at it. It was in Wikipedia, by the way, along with all the good tourism marketing. It said that your retirees, they're either leaving town or well, you know what else. But it really showed that you had a younger population than the average city in Alberta and across the country. And I thought that was good, that you have a young population. This really helps do that. We love seeing the skate park there. It was really cool. I love the little kids. There was nobody there with skates. The little kids were having more fun there than they were on the splash pad. But it was really fun to see that. That's really nice. I mean, just look at the setting in every photograph. The art center, the art hub, I'm not too can you buy art there? Is there a gallery or anything? Yeah, no clue. Yeah. So because we thought, should we go in there or is it just art classes? Because it says hours of operation are there, but this is art club. So they thought it must be a private club, or maybe they do classes in there, but we weren't sure. We were looking for a place in Peace River that would sell like an art co-op, a gallery. And if this does have a gallery, add it to your signage, because we'll come in. We collect First Nations art. And we've been way up in northern BC and around looking for First Nations art. I'm not sure if that's a focus in here, but we're always looking for art pieces, and we weren't sure whether it was really open to the public. So it just needs to be made clear on signage or whatever. Things like this right here is not really doing you a whole lot of good. I would just get rid of it. The wind's just ripping the paper to shreds. I'm not sure it really serves much of a purpose. The new ones you see now are wider, and they have like a glass cover you can open, then you can put stuff in there and it doesn't get ripped to shreds. And so it's looking rather tough. This is where we first saw the museum over the creek from the bridge there. But once again, same thing. This is probably part of the dike trail, right? Is this all part of that whole thing? And so we weren't too sure, but that is how we were introduced to the museum. And I gotta tell you, your town is doing everything it can to make downtown better. I mean, everywhere we went, we saw what they're doing. And we were, but the merchants and property owners don't do much to pull customers in their doors. Sorry to say it. I mean, if you ever want to go do a trip, go down to Canmore and just walk that downtown. They're beautiful. They put extensions of window displays in exterior spaces. Now, granted, we're here during construction week. You know, all the work they're doing downtown. So maybe you do that, but it's just not here. And so we want to give you some ideas for that. Number 3, downtowns are about people, not cars. Remember that. Downtowns are about people. So all of this, fantastic. This is, I know it's a pain in the rear for you merchants and stuff, but this is worth it. Just that extra, couple of feet of sidewalk, extending it out will be worth it. I mean, the narrower the street, the slower people will go. You want people to go to downtown, not through downtown. And so we even thought, could we do a bike lane? Could we, down the road, not now, down the road, add another curb here and create a bike lane down there? Or maybe down the road, even extend the sidewalks even wider yet down the road. Don't do it now. But we think that lanes of traffic, sorry, it's in feet, 13 feet, basically, 3.5 meters wide, roughly about there. And so the narrower the streets, the better your downtown will do because it slows traffic all by itself. So you still have really wide lanes of traffic. Remember, these are all just suggestions, ideas. We'd love to see you add some bike racks somewhere in downtown for people that do want to bike. And now, you know, with the proliferation of e-bikes, huge and fast growing. And so, you know, bike racks would be great down there. And by the way, if you move vehicles back this far, there's still plenty of room for people to get behind them, even with big dualies. We used to own one of those. And so I went out there and paced it off, and you do have plenty of room. So you could do some things, even just street trees. So more on that. So we did a video about sidewalk dining. And I'd love to see you have some restaurants downtown, and your sidewalks aren't really wide enough to do dining. This is in Barrie, Ontario. And we actually had them lose some parking spaces to create outdoor dining. Their sidewalks were wide enough, we actually let them use parking spaces. Now, I know what people are going to say. You take away the parking, you're going to kill my business. Let me give you a statistic. Sorry, this is in feet and inches. The average shopper at Walmart parks 260 feet away from the front door. 260 feet. Yet they don't have a problem walking, and that's average. That means half of them are walking further than 260 feet. Yet they walk that 260 feet. They'll go all the way to the back of the store to buy a Blu-ray or DVD. They just walk 2 blocks. So if somebody says, you take away the parking, you're going to kill my business, say, really? Is your business not worth walking a block or 2 for? In a conversation. But I thought this is just an idea for you. This is in Barrie, Ontario. The restaurant wasn't quite open yet. And by the way, they take them all down in the winter months. You know, so they could just see what they did there on that. But these just might be an idea to get, we want your downtown to be about people, not cars. And so if their sidewalks aren't wide enough and they take up 1 or 2 parking spaces, fantastic. I mean, just go to Nelson, British Columbia. I mean, just go to Nelson. I mean, The whole streets are full of little sidewalk cafes like this that they just put up during the summer months. They take them down in the winter months. And it just creates a great place for people to hang out. Espresso, raw food, baking, you know, I mean, you name it, they've got it there. So look at that one. They've got a big tarp over it in case it rains. But, you know, and they're a town that's, you know, a little bigger than you, but even on their steep hills, they have patio dining. And so, you know, I'm not sure how they get away with that one, but no problem with that one. And this, they were just getting ready to take them down in the winter. So this is just something that's, I'm thinking, what ideas could we do to make downtown more of a destination rather than just a place where town hall is and, you know, all of that. This is Wolfville, Nova Scotia. They have similar weather like you do. And once again, they put these and and by the way, the restaurants share a big storage lot where they store this stuff in the winter. And so, and then they walk around here and there's no trip hazards. They got a non-slip surface on them. But, you know, just some ideas to activate your downtown and make it a place we want to come and hang out. And so, and by the way, notice the beautification. That's really important. So I'm just quickly showing you some ideas for your downtown. But I kept going, man, we love these bulb outs. We wish you have more of them. That you would just, it slows traffic down. You can put a couple benches out there. You can even put a couple of chairs out there. I mean, we love these. So I'm so glad to see you're doing that. So what the town is doing, everything it can. You know, love little places like that where you create these bulb outs and then you can have just a place for people to sit. You know, and so, I mean, the narrower the traffic, the slower people will go. So what the town is doing is right on. And I'll bet not everybody was happy about it, right? Yeah, there's always somebody, but it's worth doing. I'm really glad you're doing it. By the way, a lot of this is done now. Just in the week we've been here, a lot of it's been accomplished. But if you go into, notice how narrow the streets are in Canmore? The narrower, the better. So, business mix, number 4. So one was make downtown about people, not cars. Okay? Downtown business mix. This is the one area where if you want your downtown to be a destination, here is the business mix you need in 3 lineal blocks, not all of downtown. And it could be a block this way, a block this way, a block this way, but I'm not talking about square blocks. In 3 lineal blocks, this is what you need to have. It's called the 10-10-10 rule. Notice all these streets, notice how narrow they are. You can even narrow yours down even more. And there you go. 10 places that sell food. And I think, let's see, we ate at the Palace, the Chinese restaurant. It was really good, by the way. Domino's isn't really an eat-in place. They don't have eat-in there, do they? No, I didn't think so. You do have, and I'm trying to think in 3 lineal blocks. Now, we could go down and up and go over to the brewing company and see what I mean? But you're not quite, I'm not so sure if you're quite there. You got Java, you got a few places, but you need 10 places to sell food, 10 destination retail shops. Here was our biggest challenge. When we do assessments, we try to find local shops we can spend money in, and there wasn't really much we could find. I mean, there's no real home accent stores. I mean, Friesen has home accents in a little section of their store, but I was really looking for locally homegrown galleries, home accents, bookstores, shoe stores, and we couldn't find them. So all of these things. Now remember, if you become more of a hub, more tourism oriented, then you'll see some of these come in. Then out of those 20, half of them open after 6. Here's something you need to know. According to the National Retail Federation, this is in the States, but it applies to Canada, 70% of retail sales take place after 6 p.m. And the only place open after 6 p.m. is the West Side. Walmart, all of the grocery stores, all that stuff over there. So just remember that. 70% of retail sales take place after 6 p.m. So, you need to have consistent hours, open into the evening hours, like businesses grouped together. That doesn't mean you need more cannabis stores, but we're talking about retail and restaurants, and a central gathering place. That's what downtown should work to become. Antique malls do 10 times the business when they're grouped together. Auto malls do 7 times. Why would Toyota want to be right next to Subaru and Ford and Chevy? Because they do 7 times the businesses when they're grouped together. I mean, that's why there's corner gas stations. Fast foods always tend to be close to each other. You name it. I mean, food courts, all of these things. So sometimes you have to orchestrate the efforts. So you have to work with your property owners to do this. And that is recruiting your businesses into downtown. If you can get a third of them to do it, the rest will say, hey, I'd be better. You know, in your downtown, you have too many social services in your downtown. On your main street, you have too many service businesses, whether they're accountants or lawyers or whatever. It needs to be retail and restaurant focus. And so a lot of times, towns now are restricting the use of their retail storefronts. And you're going to see that across the country. So that's what they're doing. There's the big deal about downtown, where we go after work on weekends. So you can't roll up your sidewalks at 6 o'clock and expect downtown to do well. By the way, think about this. If you become more tourism oriented, which we want you to do and which you easily could do with just some marketing, is number one, all those activities I showed you, they're all daytime activities. I don't care whether it's golf, going on the lake, going sailboarding, going fishing, whatever you're doing, all your things are recreationally oriented. We do that during the day. We come back, we spend the night where there's things to do after 6 o'clock. Because for us, we had to go back to the Best Western and turn on the TV if we want something to do after 6 o'clock, other than maybe eat at a restaurant, because your downtown's rolled up. Sidewalks are rolled up. Downtowns are about where we go after work on weekends. So just keep that in the back of your mind of where we're heading across the country. And by the way, it's always about locals first. If you don't hang out in your downtown, neither will visitors. We go where you go. And by the way, this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, you're downtown. I could have shot a cannon off on your main drag in downtown and not hit anything. I was shocked I don't know where everybody got. The whole town was empty this weekend. Is that what usually happens? Wow, we were like, wow, there's nobody here. You all go to Grand Prairie? Is that, yeah. Okay. Grimshaw, of course. So, what's included in the business mix? So this is for Corrine. Here's your recruitment list. Are you ready? She's standing over there to make a quick exit. See. We researched 2,000 towns and town districts across Canada and the U.S. And we saw that in this list, this was 3,500 to 5,000 residents. So not as big as you. These are the businesses that we found were effective in these towns, not just tourist towns. And so I'm not sure, like I didn't see a shoe. You do have the casual clothing place we did go in there and they do sell some shoes, but you don't have a dedicated shoe store that we could find. Ice cream shop, we saw the little ice cream stand, that was good. 2 home accents and decor, 2 delis, lunch spots, a garden store. These are all shops that could work in a downtown of your size. So sometimes it's recruiting these people, recruiting them in, and you have the population to support these. And so sometimes a bookstore can have a cafe with gifts. Some of these you already have. Now, once you start really getting into tourism, then you get into even a bigger set with like jewelry stores, 2 casual clothing shops, 2 microbrews, those types of things. So, and by the way, we're going to give, for Corrine, we've already given her a flash drive that has this whole presentation, all the slides, everything in it. So she has that, and we will be doing a follow-up report for her too. So if you want, say, I want to see those slides again because, I'm going through this pretty fast. I wish I could have spent the whole day with you. But in just a couple hours or so, I wanted to get through as many as we could. But these could all they would work in Peace River. And then, next thing for downtown are what we call blade signs. Can you tell me what's in any of those shops? When we're driving down the street or walking down the sidewalk, we see signs that are perpendicular to us. Those are called blade signs. There are none. We have seen towns that don't even allow them. Change your bylaws. You need blade signs. I have no idea. Why should I keep walking down that sidewalk even? I have no idea what's down there. How about here? What's down there? I mean, there's just nothing. I mean, you've got great pole banners, by the way. I love seeing you celebrate your seniors. The only way to see what's in these shops is for me to go out there where the cars are and go, oh, what is that up there on the facade? I mean, there's no blade signs. You have nothing. I don't know what's down there. And during construction, should I even bother? The only way I know what's downtown is across the street. Good luck with that. And so when it comes to that, we did a whole workshop. And we got workshops that you could go and do deep dives on all this stuff. This is one of them. And one of those guess what? Canmore. I mean, those are blade signs. And go to Banff. Go to any tourism-friendly town. You're going to find blade signs like that. I mean, I love that, the Kitchen Boutique in Canmore. This is in Nantucket in Massachusetts. General parameters, no lower than 2.1 meters, no higher than 2.7 meters, no wider. So you don't get cluttered. They're all kind of consistent in size. And so there gives you kind of your distances and some general rules for that. Typical sign sizing, no taller than 20, the actual size of the sign. No wider than 105 centimeters, consistent distance from the facade. And that way you don't end up with clutter. And I mean, that's Carmel, California has those. Another town we were working in had a lot of awnings. So what do you do when they're below awnings? And so that's the kind of signs they did there for awnings. And then, here's more about just showing under awnings. We love awnings, by the way. I'm not sure I'm sure you get some wins, don't you? Yeah, and so they can work. We've seen a lot of roll-up on. But by the way, on your signs, always promote what you're selling, not the name of the store. Chocolate, collectibles, trains, food. I mean, it's really obvious. Always put what it is you're selling. And by the way, wind, this is Lethbridge. Everything there is built 100 mile an hour, not kilometers. 100 mile an hour winds. All these signs, even the chains are actually welded in place right there. And they were just putting these up when we were there so they can change these out. And so there you go, lighting. You can have lights on the facade that shine on them. So this is all for your businesses. And they were just putting these in when I was in Lethbridge working there. So there's blade signs. Number 6, there's only 9, so I'm getting there. Downtown beautification. I'll tell you this, that one thing I loved, even though I don't know what's in the business, I loved all the pole banners. I love the fact that you've got the hanging baskets. Like I said, the town is doing every single thing it can to make downtown attractive. I love all the wraps. And you had these all over town, all these art wraps. It even gives credit to the artists that did those. I think they're phenomenal. And the hanging baskets, we noticed those. They're just fantastic. I mean, it's really, these, once again, I think are just beautiful. Even love this. Even this is probably an empty lot or something there, but even doing this Mad for Plaid, I thought was really great. If this was, this was last month, so these are fairly recent. But even if you just did this and just put next year when it's going to be, always invite us back. So you don't necessarily have to take it down, but I thought that was a great sign. I thought it was a great use of a fence there to probably show something that's, not very nice to look at back behind it. The center medians, I love these. We thought they were great. The beautification, whoever does your beautification does a great job. I don't know if you have a garden club, if it's the town does it, Parks and Rec. I mean, the town has done everything it possibly can that I could think of. I mean, this right there, it's just phenomenal. Really, really a great job. Really, really nice. And it really helped because we're seeing this in the middle of this construction, your street construction. The murals are really great. I mean, these are beautiful. I was going to make this one the opening slide. I think that is fantastic. I love that one. I'm going, man, I wish I could get a painting of that for our house. It's just really nice. And even that, I just thought these were really great. And they're worth going around. It'd be nice if there was pots right here or a bench with pots, just anything to make it look a little nicer. Because the businesses do very little to pull people in their doors. I mean, I kept imagining, can you imagine if there was all flowers along here in front of that? Whoa, it would just knock your socks off. I mean, even the fire station, I love that historical miller though. So you guys have done a really good job as a town doing everything you can to make it look as well as you can. I mean, I thought this was fantastic. I'd love to eat there, right there, and look at that. That's fantastic. It's just great. You know, when it comes to town hall, you know, gray, brown, tan, what did I say? So I kept going, could we like paint these, the window frames one color, paint this one color, maybe that another, just any, I love this. You could even do trompe-l'oeil. You know what trompe-l'oeil is? Fool the eye. These are murals that you can do, and I even thought you could trompe-l'oeil this stone without actually doing the stonework. You could make the whole building look like stone just by painting it. So let me show you trompe-l'oeil. This is a concrete wall. By the way, there is no arch there. That's painted on. That's all painted on. So that is the archway. It's being painted on. There's our guy. His name is Eric Groh. He does all these. These are all the shadows. You can see even the shadows are painted on. And there's what it looked like when it was done. That's trompe-l'oeil, fool the eye. You can walk right up to it and you wouldn't know that that's flat. How about this one? Before, during, after. That's trompe-l'oeil. But you know, I came from the concert industry. I used to do tour management early in my career. And one of the groups that I had to manage part of their tour was the Eagles. And I'll never forget going to Winslow, Arizona, where Jackson Browne was riding. He was traveling across Interstate 40 in northern Arizona, and his car broke down. So he pulls into this town, Winslow, and he starts writing a song. He couldn't finish it, so he gave it to his friend Glenn Fry from the Eagles, who we lost a couple years ago. And you know the song, standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona, such a fine sight to see. There's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford slowing down to take a look at me. Ever heard the song? Of course. Well, there it is. And by the way, this is a furniture store. It was a furniture store. See this girl in a flatbed Ford? That's actually not a reflection. That's painted on there. You can kind of see the furnishings in there. They used to have an eagle sitting up in that window up there. And here's the guy with the guitar right here, standing on the corner. There he is with the guitar. That's Jackson Browne. And so they took this picture, and you can see it looks like a furniture store back through there. 1.5 million people a year stop there. There's the backside of it. Long gone. 1.5 million people a year take their picture in that corner. I mean, that's trompe-l'oeil. You could do a Where's Waldo wall, and people would come from everywhere just to try to find Waldo on that wall. That wouldn't be trompe-l'oeil. That would just be, but you could do that. But now the insurance company, so that would be a cool thing you do. You could do stone. You can even do trompe-l'oeil that just looks like brick. Doesn't have to be a picture. They did some down in Pincher Creek that are really cool. Buildings that look, people looking out the windows and everything. And you would think that they're really looking out the windows, if they're not. I think the insurance company, it was funny that the insurance company that doesn't really need the beautification does better than the businesses that need the beautification. I mean, I thought that was great having those pots there. Look at this. 70% of first-time sales comes from curb appeal. We all travel. Have you ever said these words? That looks like a nice place to eat. We all do it. We judge the book by the cover. And yet your curb appeal, is not that great. And so where do first-time sales? Curb appeal, then word of mouth. Because we asked the front desk at the Best Western, where's a good place to eat? We even asked visitor information, and she was so good. She says, what kind of food are you interested in? See what I mean? So she helped narrow it down for us. So that was great. Online reviews, social media, publicity, this is how it does. So we'd say, that looks like a good place to eat, and then we'd pull out our phone and look at Google and see what the reviews are. So the person that works at Visitor Information Center, is she here? No? Okay. It's one of your staff? Woohoo! Really good job. She did a really good job. She asked the right questions to help us narrow it down. These storefronts look as drab as could be. There's not one shred of beautification. There's no pots, there's no planters, there's no benches. And so now it could be because these right here, this is already done. So they don't have an excuse over where all the construction is. But I want to show you something. This is Innisfail. Innisfail spent millions of dollars beautifying their downtown. This is part of it. And if you ever, it looks gorgeous. This is Innisfail downtown. The town did all the bulb outs, they did all that, dead as a doornail. You know why? Because it's what's in the buildings that makes you a draw. The rest is window dressing. This is where downtown needs economic development. It needs recruitment to get the business mix that will survive, that locals will go to, and visitors will also flock to. And that's what's missing. I mean, and so for them, they spend all this money and they're only half done. So you have to remember, the town's doing, I cannot find one single thing that the town is doing wrong in its downtown, in your downtown. But the merchants and property owners are just not pulling people in their doors. And so I just kept going, man, first of all, I'd add street trees every 10 meters, all the way down the street, even if you have to lose parking spaces. I'll tell you a study, Keep America Beautiful, which is in the States, did a study. This is in Blaine, Washington, right over the border from Vancouver area. They did street trees in one block, and for 2 years, they watched the retail sales in the one street with no other changes. The one street with the trees, their retail sales went up 28% over all the rest of the blocks, and all they did was add the street trees. I mean, that's how important street trees are, that one block. You need to add them. The other thing is, take a look at this photo. What do you see? Go ahead. The guys are out there sitting, and guess where their wives are? They're in shopping. Women account for 80% of all retail sales. I'm waiting. I know there's going to be a guy that pipes up and says, that's all? It's actually a true fact. I'm not being facetious at all. Benches. I cannot tell you how important benches are. There's Jane trying to be the model there. She wasn't very happy about it. But benches flanked with pots should be always at the facade, by the way, not out. We don't like looking at cars. We don't like facing in with cars behind us. Always at the facade facing out. Think about us at home. We have front porch. You put chairs on the front porch. You don't really sit in, but it sure makes your home feel welcoming. The same was for retail. Benches flanked with pots. I mean, these are just some examples. I will tell you, I was down in Cardston. And they said, Roger, we have a problem. We have 6 benches, and our local Aboriginal population, our First Nation population, takes up those 6 benches. A lot of them are panhandling. And I said, I want you to put out 15 more benches. They went, oh my God, that's going to be a nightmare. You know what's going to happen? I said, I'll tell you what, if they take up all 15 benches, I'll pay for the benches. They never did. As a matter of fact, the people they were having an issue with went somewhere else because downtown was too busy. And when you have 15 benches full of regular people sitting there, and even if you have 6 benches with people that maybe shouldn't be downtown, homeless or whatever, you know what? The one way overshadowed the other one. But benches, I cannot tell you how important doing, this is not a restaurant. They just put that out there. It makes their shop look welcoming. All of these little things is your merchant should be doing that. This is in Canmore again. By the way, this ice cream shop, they'll give these people free ice cream if they will eat it out there, because the second they do that, there's a line out the door for people waiting to get ice cream. I mean, just by putting out 4 chairs and 2 little tables. This is what you need to do in Peace River. You need to, you know what? The town is in charge of curbside beautification. Businesses should be in charge of facade side beautification. And that's what we're showing you on all of these. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's what you need to do. You know, the other thing you could do is where you have these crosswalks. I got a good idea where you have these crosswalks across the bulb outs. Is there's a thing called street print. Street print was actually founded in Vancouver, BC. And so what it is with street print, these are not actual paver stone. It's actually embossed into the asphalt. It's called the Duratherm process. You can go over it with, and this is actually dyed into the asphalt, and you could go over it with chains, studded tires, and everything. It lasts like 20 years. And it's not pavers. It's actually, you can have whatever design you want. And they're all over. They're in Calgary. I think there's even street print operation in Edmonton. But all of these are not paver stones. They're all just stamped into the asphalt. And they last like 20 years or more. I mean, you could see it embossed down in there. And so this is like a vinyl down in here. And it's embossed down, you know, several centimeters. And so you can just see these are just kind of the process. You can have whatever designs you want. You can even have like the city's logo, you know, with the river going through it, and have those stamped across on your crosswalks. Could be really cool things you could do. But here they are. They just heat press it right down into it. And they have these machines. And what's cool is when they do one of these crosswalks, you can walk on it 20 minutes later. It's not like you're tearing up the streets. And so there's just a really cool process. So it's just another thing that you might add to your arsenal of things you could do. So, but when we talk about businesses, is this in business? How would you know? There's no hours, there's no beautification, there's not one pot, not one planter, not one bed, nothing. And we kept going, that looks like it'd be a nice place to eat. The entrance is around the side somewhere, but I can't tell where they're in business. You have to look like you're in business, and they don't. And it might be great. You know, I'm sorry I'm picking on businesses now. But here we have, first of all, the sign needs to be, it's menswear, but the curtains are always closed. Is it still in business? Why are the curtains closed? Why don't you have window displays? Why don't you show them to people? Every day of the week we've been here, they've never opened the curtains once. I'm going, is it in business? And the same over here, we have work in Western wear, but some of the blinds are crossed, they haven't been moved in a week. Is this in business, or is it part of the same store? We had no clue whether they're in business or not. I mean, what would you do? What would you, if this were your very first time here, they do nothing to pull us in. So that's why I'm saying that, you know, I thought the drugstore did a good job. These are great. I could see a pot, a bench, a pot, a pot, a bench, a pot right there. It would just, boom, we'd be in there. It's a great store, by the way. But once again, they did this, so it's a start, but it's not enough. You know, and so, I mean, here, you know, that didn't work out very well. But it's been a week, it's still laying there.
That's why nobody has anything in this town. Because that's what.
Well, and I don't know if this was vandalism or if it just fell over or the wind got it or whatever. But, I just went, man, it's just stand it back up or figure out a way to fasten it down. And so, once again, downtown association, if you create a BIA, which I think you should, a business improvement association, the town would always do the curbside, street trees, those kinds of things. This is before. I want to show you this. This is one block. This is before. This is after. Retail sales went up 30%. Going from that to that. 30% increase in retail sales. And so, you know what you could do with a BIA? This is a little town in Texas. It's called Fredericksburg. And Fredericksburg, the people went down and they said, okay, we want to raise some money to put, there was none of these pots were there. We want to raise some money. So they went door to door, and somebody said, I'll pay you $5. Somebody said $40. Somebody gave them $200. I think the average donation was like $40,000 or $40. Not $40,000, we wish. Like $40. They raised $3,000. Then they went to a wholesale nursery and said, at the end of the season, we'll take all the pots you have left over, like with at least a 21-inch opening, so they weren't little pots. And if they have a hairline crack, we'll take them. If it has a chip on it, we'll take them. Pennies on the dollar. We'll take any pots you got. So somebody with a flatbed truck went over there, brought a big truckload. They spent about $1,000 on pots. They put them on a side street and said, merchants, help yourself. They didn't say, you only paid $5, you only get one. They just said, help yourself. So this merchant grabbed these. These look like they're similar. They were all empty. The merchants went and grabbed them. They started lining them up down the street. You can see what they did there. This lady picked up these two. They happened to match. And so they started going down and they started putting, there was some pots left over. So they said, well, I'll just take a whole grouping and put them there. Then what they did is in the winter, they brought in a dump truck load of soil and some river rock, and they went to high school students, any youth organization that was looking to raise money, whether it was cheerleaders or hockey clubs or scouts, whatever it is. They said, we're going to pay you some money. We want you to go and put river rock in them, put a cutout of landscape fabric, then fill them full of topsoil for the winter. And so, and by the way, they had the kids do that. So they load them up. In the winter, they just put pinwheels and Christmas decorations in them till the next spring. And then they used the third $1,000 to go and plant them. They never had one case of vandalism because kids protect things they take ownership of. And since the kids did that, they didn't have any issues. I mean, doesn't that make you want to go in that gallery? Blade sign and beautification. That's what your business need to do. Number 7, gathering places. What comes first in a downtown is people there on a consistent basis, 250 days a year or more. How do we get people to hang out downtown? So I kept looking at these empty spaces downtown and said, could we take this, and if it's privately developed, could we lease it for $1 a month? It would fall under the town's blanket umbrella insurance. We put some paver stones and just put some activities downtown just to get people downtown. Or could we take this empty space, put some paver stones around it? Yeah, okay. There's a story here, I know. I'm probably going to hear about it later. But whatever, I kept going, there must be empty spaces. Even, we had the same problem in Okotoks. Okotoks has parking here and parking there. In Okotoks, we got the cars out of there and made that a gathering space. It made the retail sales like tripled in those shops. So I kept going, man, what if you took these cars out of here, had them park out there, and you put tables and chairs out there. This is where the casual clothing shop is. Put tables and chairs out there, maybe some big chess sets, something that could be easily moved, you know, if we need emergency access in there. I mean, just create gathering spaces. We saw this all being devised with that. Man, that could be a really cool plaza. You know, and so we're looking at those, and somewhere you want your downtown to be the community living room. And so that's what we want downtown to become, because otherwise the West Side is just going to clean out the rest of your downtown. And so I thought, look at this. They did this in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where they actually took some parking spaces, the sidewalks over there, and they just created this little park for the summer months. And so you want a location that can best be monetized, people friendly, insurance, power and water. I mean, these are things you got to consider for doing this. Safety barriers, access to public washroom somewhere. These are all the kinds of things that we just want some place for people to come and hang out. And we want stuff to do, just to come hang out. And then change it up every couple weeks. And I'll show you that real quickly. And so you need volunteers to help do this. So these are portable trees. With a forklift or a tractor with forks on it, you can take these and you can line them along the street to create a barrier so cars are not driving into people. And that's what some places are doing, things like that. Get some lighting overhead. Just some of these are now LED, and they now come with plastic, so they're not glass. And they're pretty inexpensive, and you just light up that little area that you're doing it. You can do portable washrooms if you don't have public washrooms downtown. I mean, these are cool. We've seen these all over the province. And then you bring in some things. And I even put some prices there. Like, could you imagine having maybe 6 of these, 4 scores, some big giant Jenga blocks. And you just have activities. And by the way, the reason we put prices on here, and you'll get all of this stuff. The reason we put prices there, because you might have people sponsor it. Walmart said, well, we'll sponsor the foosball tables and the ping pong tables. And so you put out a reader board that said these activities are sponsored by Walmart or whoever. And so we thought if you had all these activities, and they wouldn't all, now wouldn't that be cool? If you had those downtown in the summer months, you know how many kids and families would be down there trying the hula hoops? And that's like less than $1,000. These are spun chairs. You have to have a pretty good surface for those. They're pretty wild. Musical instruments. I mean, these are just some activities, and you wouldn't have them all out at once. You would just keep always change them. You want LoSa. I wonder what's going on downtown this week. And you know what? During the winter months, I mean, this is a portable skate park. You don't need that one. You already have a skate park. Cornhole tosses you could do. And I even thought, if you had all these activities, these are like propane fire pits during the winter. These are badminton. This is full of water down here to weight it. I mean, all of these things you could do. This is in downtown Canmore. In the middle of the winter, that they're wearing their ski gear on the exercise equipment. But can you imagine having some tables and chairs there? I mean, the checkers. This is Imagination Playground. Put it out during spring break, during summer months. The kids love it. It's like Lincoln Logs, but made out of foam. And so we kept thinking, if you had a place downtown, it would be so cool. I even thought in the winter, you got a mall that's 50% empty. You could do all this stuff in the mall in the winter months. I mean, and I got more about that, but look at this. This was just a parking lot. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 food trucks, but notice everything here, it's just pallets and wire reels. Even these pots, they borrowed from a local nursery, and people can come and buy them there. They have a person with a little check register. You can buy the pots if you want to take the trees home. But all of this was done on a shoestring budget. It's a place for people to hang out. Where people hang out consistently, retail follows. So if you want to fill your retail downtown, make downtown a place where people hang out. I mean, this is Wichita, Kansas. Look at it. It's just wire reels. It's inexpensive. This is even just gravel. I mean, this is what you want. If you do this in your downtown, retail will come back and downtown will be the place it should be, the community living room. Right now, you don't have a community living room. And so, your mall. 3/4 of all suburban malls in the US and Canada are now closed because downtowns are back. And so malls are dying everywhere. And so, by the way, the museum sign needs some help. Just FYI. Yeah, that one we could probably do something better with. And the mall is, I think it's like 2/3 empty. There's still some businesses in there. And I wasn't surprised at all. I knew before we even walked in the doors what the future was going to be. But I wanted to show you a mall. This mall happens to be the Crossroads Mall. This mall happens to be in Bellevue, Washington. It's about the size of your mall. And it was built back in the 60s. They turned it into a public market with like permanent vendors in there. There's like 30 different restaurants in there. They've got a little stage in there. They have got chess sets in there. They took your mall and they turned it into the community living room. And now there are no retail vacancies in that mall. But in this mall, they've got, and here's the guy that's just doing a walkthrough. I'll just let that go while I'm talking. He's walking through the mall. There's Filipino restaurants. There's Japanese restaurants. There is a Brazilian restaurant in there. There is a Mexican. There's like 20 different nationality little restaurants. And they're just tiny little restaurants. They're not much bigger than like this corner. So they're almost like a food truck, but without being in an actual truck. And so there's authentic Lao foods. So they've got Vietnamese food. And the whole mall is full of tables and chairs. And what used to be retail shops are now might have 2 or 3 little restaurants in them. I mean, and all they did is turn it into the community living room, and the mall succeeded. And in a place where you have long winters, how cool is this? This is even a little internet cafe. So they just opened up a little internet cafe in there. And so this is just a person just walking through the mall, and it's done exceptionally well. As a matter of fact, I kept thinking, why isn't your farmer's market in this mall? Why does it have to be up by Walmart? Why can't it be downtown? And so look at these. These are all these little teeny, there's a sushi restaurant, there's the Blazing Bowl, there's all these little restaurants all through there. And it worked. So, you know, and time to weed the steps up to this is part of the Dyke Trail, right? Okay, and so like the steps there, I went and climbed up over here because it doesn't look like anybody ever uses the steps. They need to be at least weed eated every once in a while, so we'll use those steps. And my last one, RVing. You need to create an RVer's guide to Peace River because we have seen a gazillion RVs driving through here. And RVs don't want to be in Edmonton. They don't even really, I mean, they might be in Grand Prairie or around Grand Prairie, but they want to be out in the rural areas. And we know we RV'd all over Canada and the US during the pandemic. And when we could get across the border, either way. But we kept thinking, and by the way, I just used a stock picture here. So I just kept thinking, don't limit to the town or the county lines, promote the area. But if you included, where are your campgrounds? Show us where are your campgrounds and dog parks and where to get propane and where to purchase gas and deal. And by the way, all the ones in yellow are businesses. They would actually pay to have a panel in this brochure. The panel would be like a regular rack-sized brochure. Where do I find dump stations? What about your grocery stores, RV and camping supplies, hardware stores, veterinary service, all these things. And here's what you need to know about RVers. They don't shop like tourists, they shop like locals. They're at your gas stations, they're at Walmart, they're at Canadian Tire, they're at all these places that you have. They're at Home Hardware. I mean, top 3 hiking trails, local co-working spaces if you got them here. You know, must-see visit area attractions could be in there. And this is kind of a self-funding thing. But RVers, we want to know, where can we go? And what I would do with this, I would create these brochures. I would take them out to every campground you've got in the area and say, hey, when people want to know where they can get stuff, we're going to show you what we've got in Peace River because we got everything they could want. You even have RV repair here. I mean, you've got a lot of places. And I kept going, man, Willow Bay Camp. I mean, these are just a couple of them. And so with all of this being said, and I'm almost done, is you have such a great opportunity to really tap into tourism, and that'll bolster your businesses. I think what you have here is phenomenal. I was blown away. I didn't know what to expect. You know, a couple years ago, we did a whole series of ads for High Level. And I've never still been up to High Level. I've never been up there. But we did a series of ads for them. I'm going, look at how much easier it'd be for you than even them. And so I just kept thinking that what you have here is phenomenal. I wish I could say that everywhere we go. So to close things out, a little bit of potpourri right here is, there you go. Thank you for all the sandwich boards. Good job. We did find the farmer's market or your public market. We did go there. And I kept going, why couldn't we put this in downtown? I always say every farmer's market should be in the heart of your spending district. The heart of your spending district should not be the west side, it should be downtown. I don't know who owns the mall, who operates the mall, but man, I would, and because none of these people are competing with any business in the mall, but it puts people in there. It's starting something. And so anyway, it was great. Love the little businesses there. We shopped there. We did buy several things while we were there. It was a great little market. Loved seeing it. Thank you for the sandwich boards that helped us find it. And they were all over the place. There's the bridge again. Okay, I won't go there. You said not to, so I won't. But I kept going. Could that be pedestrian? Would it be all one way this way, one way that way? It is a stable bridge, right? Well, I thought, why don't you just have the lanes coming this way, the lanes going that way? It will eventually, in your lifetime, you hope. Okay. It looks like they worked on it, didn't it? It looks like it's been freshly painted. It's not, I didn't see it as an eyesore. Okay. The 50-click speed limit across there, though, is really irritating, I will tell you. Yeah, I mean, over here, you know how many times I was like, why is that 50? It's 80. It's 80 before you get there. It's 80 right after you get there. I have no idea why. Anyway, just another thing to pass on. We ate at the Peace Garden restaurant. Really nice people. It was really good. And we were there this weekend, and we're like the only ones there. I felt so bad for them that on the weekends, nobody was in town. I just felt really bad for the restaurants. It was like everybody just clears out. We saw the cinema, looks great, showing some good movies. We did find the high school up on the hill. It looks great because we always look at schools, quality of life. We saw the Catholic school, we saw all the different schools, and we saw that they even had the Northern Lakes College had their facilities up there right by the high school. And I absolutely love, the sign needs a refresh. I love it. It's worth the climb. That is awesome. Way to go. Whoever came up with it, I thought that is awesome. And both academically and up the hill to the school. I thought that was great. But once again, the signs, you know, it's worth refreshing that sign. It's great. We did go to Peace River Brewing. I love the fact they even do a ton of events in there. We're there when there's live music. I think it was on Friday night. And they're doing everything they can to have all different kinds of activities there. And so what you have here is amazing. So what do you do with all this? Where do you go from here? You should create a Destination Peace River team. When I say destination, it's not just tourism. But remember, anybody that's going to come here is going to come here first as a visitor. Is this a place they want to live? Is this a place they want to start a business? Is this a place they want to raise a family, retire? So I've created a destination river team, and this could be partly Chamber of Commerce, partly town. Maybe the county plays a role in it, some merchants, some tourism. You create this team, and then because I gave you 102 suggestions, none of them were expensive except for the wayfinding was the most expensive things. Now, if you want to do a plaza, you have to raise some money there. If you want to do an RVer's guide, you got to do a website. You can do a website pretty inexpensively once you get some photography and go through these suggestions and turn many or all into recommendations. Remember, and many of these things you're already working on. This is all about making something happen. Because amazing people don't just happen, you have them and they're in this room. what you have here is really cool. I mean, we absolutely fell in love with Peace River. I mean, it blew the socks off of all the research we did before we got here. And remember, what you have within just a 20-minute drive of here, recreation-wise, I mean, this is amazing. I mean, your terrain, some of your terrain reminded me of some of the terrain in downtown Edmonton. By the way, we've worked in all over Edmonton. But here you do it without the crowds. There was no crowds anywhere. It was really, really nice. And I love the whole, the peace. That's why I love that find your peace in downtown, because it just seems serene. I mean, especially when you go down the Shaftesbury Trail. I mean, it's just so, you're 2 minutes out of town and you have the whole place to yourself. It's amazing. And so anyway, you're already on your way. And this is just the assessment. This is a starting point. This is the conversation starter. So we gave you 9 suggestions here, what you could do. Most of them were downtown, because we think, if there was one ingredient that really needed help, it's your downtown. And I think the town is doing everything it can. I think we now have to work with property owners. Some of them may be absentee. We need to orchestrate the business mix, need to orchestrate their business hours. We need to put more life into downtown so it becomes a community living room, and you could do that. I wish I had a whole day or two that I could just spend with you talking about downtown, because I think the museum does a good job, your churches do a good job, your schools are highly rated, which is really amazing for a rural area. Your recreation, I mean, try to beat it anywhere in the prairie, anywhere in this province. We're not in the Rockies, but outside the Rockies, look what you got. I mean, I was trying to figure out a place in this province where you could put zip lines and stuff without having to go to the mountains. You could do it here, and that's what you have. And so with that, that's all I've got for you tonight. And I want to thank you. So, does anybody have any last-minute questions? Yes.
At the beginning of your presentation, you referenced the moniker, the wildlands. So you're from
The wildlands, yes.
Familiar with what we're seen as by the rest of Alberta then?
Yes, and that's something fairly new, I think, Travel Alberta. I was here when Travel Alberta went from a nonprofit to a Crown organization and all of that. And I've always thought that I love the wildlands. I think that's great. I mean, I think that's exceptional. And I'm glad to see the province starting to promote things. I mean, you go to Calgary, they think the province ends at Edmonton. Edmonton thinks the province ends at Grand Prairie. Am I right? And so I really see these as just missed opportunities. And like I said, when I sent Karine an email and I said, we were expecting another prairie town. Remember that? I said, we're expecting another prairie town. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this is here. I mean, we were just blown away. And so I just think that the wildlands is perfect. It's great out here. I mean, we saw, we were driving down the Shaftesbury Road and we see a deer out there with 3 fawns. I mean, to you, they're probably a nightmare, eating your gardens and everything. But for us, being from outsiders, and we see all the wildlife and things around here, and we were only here for a week, was pretty amazing. Even seeing canola this far north, and what's interesting, we met a farmer that is from down south. They do a lot of canola down near Vulcan and down in that whole area towards Lethbridge. And their canola crop this year, none. Drought, none. So we come up here, and even north of here, I mean, your canola, and we got the rain the other day. I'm sure the farmers go, woohoo, we need that. But what you have here is amazing. I had no idea what to expect. And you blew away all of our expectations, and we don't get to say that very often. Yeah. So I love the wildlands. I think that's great for the province and everything. Okay, with that, thank you very much for coming out tonight. Thank you very, very much. If you have any questions or anything, Karine is over there, and we're going to meet with a few people tomorrow morning before we have to head back out of town. But when we do that, if you have questions, write them down there. And if somebody said, Roger, I got questions for you, I have business, you can email me. I'm happy to answer any questions. I think what you have is amazing, and keep up the good work. I think you're doing awesome. So thank you very, very much, and have a good night. Thank you.